Hi everyone, it's Ben Starr here. You're listening to and or watching the Gooncast 2023, stuff that happened and things they liked in it, maybe. Okay, great.
Guess what, guys? 3 hours in, and we finally get to gush about things.
Oh, good lord.
We get to switch gears and talk about things that we didn't hate. Which, you know.
I don't want to. I'm going to talk about more stuff I hate.
Oh, groovy. All right, me too. All right, well, I'm gonna just dive right in then for the sake of making sure this isn't a 6-hour podcast.
And that's too late for that, buddy.
Yeah, we're 2 hours and 40 minutes in. Let's go.
I'm gonna already start off with something totally out there.
Do you have any honorable mentions?
I'll get there in a second because I'm just building a little hype because my number 10 on my list has already been mentioned in someone's worst or disappointing list.
Oh.
Gasp.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
All right, so yeah, my quick rapid fire.
If it's Ballin, I'm just gonna slap you.
Because again, there was a big pool of shit this year to pick from for like my 8 to 10 spot.
Yes.
So just super quick because there was a lot of material. The live action Netflix One Piece slaps.
Okay.
This is only an honorable mention because I did not finish it. If I did, I believe it would have been a strong contender for my game of the year, Hi-Fi Rush.
Nice.
Surprise hit, Five Nights at Freddy's. The live action movie was fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the Spider-Verse, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Both parts of the Barbenheimer double feature, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
A supernatural possession thriller called The Wailing, fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
Castlevania Nocturne, great.
Nice.
And then a little classic that maybe the bulk of gamers out there haven't had the pleasure of getting into, but just strictly for what an enjoyable piece of garbage that it is. Ape War.
Oh yeah, Ape War was
Hell yeah.
We only played it once.
Y'all gotta get in on it.
We only played Ape War once.
Hell yeah.
But Ape War was great.
That was
we gotta play more Ape War.
Yeah, we do actually.
And then just to finish checking off the boxes, my favorite book this year was The Narrow Road Between Desires by Patrick Rothfuss. My favorite lewd game was Flipwitch. And Song of the Year is Neon Noir by Villy Valo.
Nice.
Diving in. Number 10. I fucking loved Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I fucking love this movie.
Let's go! Outback Lee! Duke it out!
I like when characters or like offshoots of the source material take on their own life.
Mm-hmm.
Puss in Boots started in Shrek 2 and then became his own thing. And like, I didn't like the first Puss in Boots movie. I'm like, okay, here they go. They're capitalizing off the character's success. I get it. It's Antonio Banderas and he's a cat.
Mm-hmm. And then they had like a series too. They had like a TV show.
Yeah, which I had totally forgotten about.
Yeah. Me too. I think everyone did for good reason.
And then, like everybody else, when the internet machine kind of came online and started talking about this, I'm like, okay, what's the deal with this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's talking about the wolf death. And I'm like, okay, this looks pretty dope. All right, let me check it out. And then within 5 minutes, this thing turned into Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
And I can see absolutely what you mean with the strange animation choices.
Mm-hmm.
When it works, it hits really well.
Yes, agreed.
And that AOT sequence to kick things off where he's fighting like an elemental. I'm like, what is happening?
Mm.
I mentioned this yesterday to my co-hosts that I had to go back and re-watch this yesterday just to make sure. Like, I feel like this is my number 10. But I've just got to go back and rewatch it just to make sure. And yeah, as recent as yesterday, I fuck with this movie so hard.
That's so wild to me. Because if I was going, I did not put an animated movie on my best of list, which is kind of a bummer. But I do have some animation on it. But If I was going to pick one this year, it probably would have been Spider-Verse.
Fair. Yeah, that also stuck out to me. I had to ask myself, did I really like this more than Spider-Verse?
Yeah, I'm impressed.
I guess I did.
Okay, all right.
I guess I did. I don't know. I found myself still laughing at stuff in this movie on a second rewatch.
Okay.
And just, I don't know, like the Cockney accent, Goldilocks and the Bears, like starting a crime syndicate is just, oh, that's so good. Yeah, I loved it. The wolf character death like really lives up to all the internet hype. Definitely the highlight of the movie.
I agree with that.
For what's just supposed to be a kids movie, it kind of does the thing that the first Pokemon movie did, where you're watching it and then Mewtwo just like drops philosophical bombs on you. Like you're 10 and you're like, oh my god, I gotta see Pokemon. And Mewtwo's like, the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It's what we do with the gift of life that determines who we are. And I'm like, whoa, yo.
Like, excuse me.
And like Last Wish is driving home this message of like, home is what you make of it. And you've got to value your life while you have it because it won't always be around. Like, I don't know. It hit for me. So yeah, Puss in Boots, Last Wish, number 10.
All right. I will say, since I already mentioned Velma, the portrayal of panic attacks and how to deal with them in Puss in Boots was like night and fucking day compared to their portrayal in Velma, which was the fucking biggest scar. Like most people, even people who like don't, know panic attacks, they're like, I don't think you're supposed to kiss somebody to get somebody out of a panic attack. Don't do that. Don't kiss your friends if they're having a panic attack.
No, like I love that how and they even put it through like the cat filter of like while he's having a panic attack, his fur is starting to stand on end. It
was really good. Again, that was one of the things that that and like the death stuff were like the things that Tumblr was like, ooh, this is awesome, and I'm like, I agree.
But there's still the other half of the film.
Yes.
Yeah, totally fair.
No, fair enough.
All right.
Very nice.
What you got?
Okay, so my honorable mentions, most of them kind of already been covered a little bit, so I'll just rattle them off. The Wailing I saw at Lee's insistence, and it was very good. It definitely lived up to the hype. I thought I didn't like the ending, and then I read about like the final scene that they had planned, that they like. I think they shot it and it's like on the DVD, and I'm like, if the final scene had been in the movie, I would have not had a problem. I would have loved it. So that was like my only thing where I was like, for a 3-hour movie, the end kind of just felt very like, oh, okay. Didn't feel conclusive. But anyway, in regards to Barbie and Oppenheimer, I am somebody who, in like high school and college, I did a lot of like reading on like nukes and specifically like the history and all this stuff. Oppenheimer is a figure that I'm aware of, but I never actually read any like bios of him. I have read a lot about like the history of Los Alamos and like all of the, like I've read a lot of like firsthand accounts of like survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and stuff like that. So it is a topic that I'm really interested in, and therefore I really liked what Nolan did with it. I thought that there were scenes I really liked, things I really enjoyed about it. I liked that it was like a courtroom drama for half of it. Like I was like, that's pretty cool. Like that's an interesting way to approach this. I thought that there was basically like, I know I've heard a lot of criticism about how it wasn't really about the victims and it wasn't about like that, and it's like, okay, well, it's not really supposed to be, it's a biopic of a dude, and then it's a biopic of like the science dude, and so it is very much a like, we didn't, we were so busy trying to figure out if we could do it that we didn't think about if we should. Like that's the whole point of the movie. And I thought personally that the scene after the bomb drops where he's in the auditorium and he starts to see like, I thought it got a little gauche. Frankly, I in the beginning, when it was just the theater went silent and everything went white, I was like in tears, and then they kept going and I was like, okay, this is not as good. Cause I'm again, this is a part of history that I'm like very affected by, where I'm like, this was a very fucked up thing that we did. And it was the results of it were really fucked up. And yeah, I won't get into the politics of it, but it's like, damn, that was fucking weird. Also, shout out to Fermilab, which made an appearance in the film, which is 20 minutes from my hometown.
Nice.
So, and then Across the Spider-Verse, also, I thought that was a banger. I didn't, again, this was a really fucking good year for movies. It just didn't quite make the list, but it was very good. And then, spicily enough, I also have something on my honorable mentions list that was on somebody else's disappointing list.
Yes.
Which is the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Hey.
I will start by saying I have never experienced Resident Evil 4 before the remake, so I don't have sort of the like preconception of how it was or how it should be. And I think as a whole game, it was enjoyable. Again, I've complained at length about Ashley and like the AI in the game being utterly terrible, but I enjoyed the game itself, especially for like the RE engine style like new games. I liked the story a lot. I know it's like basically 1-to-1 for the original, like give or take. So I was like, I dig it. It was fun. But yeah, but also I'm coming in completely fresh. I have nothing. So, and last but not least, my number 10 is higher on someone else's list.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
All right. I guess that's me now.
Hell yeah.
Quick honorable mentions in regards to not being able to finish before the end of the year, and I haven't squeezed it in before the recording this podcast. Super Mario RPG Remake. I never played the original, but so far the little that I played, I know this would have been a strong contender for my list if I had been able to finish it. Same thing for Alan Wake 2. I didn't get around to finishing it, and the little I have played of it, I think I'm about halfway through the game, I very much enjoyed. Speaking of Alan Wake, though, another strong honorable mention is Alan Wake's American Nightmare. I got a double Alan Wake honorable mention. American Nightmare was a little standalone game, not quite DLC. Like it's basically like I suppose the best way to describe it is like it's a midquel. It's even debatable if it's like still canon at this point. The idea is like Alan is trapped in an episode of Night Springs that he wrote. Night Springs is effectively the Alan Wake's universe of the Twilight Zone, and he's primarily dealing with Mr. Scratch, and he's caught in a time loop. I thought it was quite charming and a lot of fun, and especially getting to see Ilkevili and I can't remember how to pronounce Alan's voice actor, Matthew Peretta, I think, in the dual role of Alan and Mr. Scratch, and he's so fucking delightfully evil as Mr. Scratch. Yeah, it's charming and a lot of fun. Next up is the first 3 films of Neil Breen's filmography.
God!
Double Down, I Am Here Now, and Fateful Findings.
I couldn't put those on any list.
No.
Pass Through is not on the list because Pass Through was almost unwatchable.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with all 3 of those movies.
Nice.
Next up, the most surprising honorable mention is DOA Dead or Alive.
Yes.
It was way more fun than it had any fucking right to be.
Yeah.
It's a piece of shit, but it knows it's a piece of shit, and it just has fun with it. Next up is Evil Dead Rise. Really strong fucking movie, but just I mean, again, my similar to Lee, my 8 to 10 could have easily been anything from the honorable mentions. I just kind of picked at random, more or less. But Evil Dead Rise was really fucking strong. Next up is Amnesia: The Bunker, which is the 4th Amnesia game, the first one with actual survival mechanics besides running and hiding. It's got some frustrating, tedious shit to it, which is mildly annoying, but it's designed for replay value, where like specific resources are kind of randomized in their location, and it's very much inspired by immersive sims, where you can solve a lot of problems with creative thinking, which I've for years now, I've always wanted to see an immersive sim horror game. And while this is not quite exactly what I want, it's pretty damn close.
Mm-hmm.
And the final one is the Puppet Combo produced, Black-Eyed Priest developed Ding Dong Dead.
Yeah.
Which is
Absolutely.
A short little horror game that you can get by backing Puppet Combo's Patreon for $5. It is also an immersive sim horror game. It's heavily inspired by John Carpenter's Halloween. You play as a babysitter, and you're babysitting a shit kid on Halloween night. And a serial killer known as the Ding Dong Ditcher Ripper has escaped from captivity and is on the prowl. And you have to basically kind of do your babysitting duties and prep for the inevitable arrival of the serial killer and try to survive. It has multiple endings. It's not terribly long. I think it took me like an hour on my very first playthrough, and I got a shit ending because I fucking died. And then on my second playthrough, where I looked in how to survive, I think it was like a 45 minutes to complete. The developer, I don't know if it's been updated yet, but he's expressed his intention on adding more immersive sim elements and more stuff to the game. So it's like it's out, but he's adding more content to it for free, which is like, that's super admirable, especially for this super passion project, low budget indie game that is available through a fucking Patreon. Yeah, it was great. I love it. And it was like possibly the most tense I've been in a horror game in years. It was fun. I liked it.
Nice.
On to my number 10, a very, very, very late edition.
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving.
Hey, nice.
This movie is dumb, but it knows
dumb
it's
as hell.
dumb.
Uh-huh.
And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fucking fun.
Yeah.
I don't like Eli Roth movies. I have never been an
same.
Eli Roth fan.
He just like went into hibernation and came out and like was like, I like good movies now.
What was that first fucking movie he did? Cabin Fever. Cabin Fever is a piece of shit.
Fuck
Hostel's
Cabin
a
Fever.
piece of shit.
Yeah.
Everything I've heard, Hostel 2 is a piece of shit. Everything I've heard and read about his other films, I'm not a fan of, like the fucking Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves, The Green Inferno.
Oh god, I forgot he made that. That movie sucked.
Yeah, he's not a very good filmmaker. He seems kind of douchey. He's also a terrible actor. Like, as much as I love Inglourious Bastards,
Yeah,
he's the
awful in
worst
Inglourious
part of Inglourious Bastards.
Absolutely.
I like the character. I just don't like him in the role. But Thanksgiving kind of really clicked for me, which was a huge goddamn surprise. For those who are unfamiliar, it is the full-length film adaptation of a fake trailer for the movie Grindhouse by Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez from years and years and years ago, where basically it's a holiday horror slasher movie where somebody's going around killing people for Thanksgiving. The movie's very tongue-in-cheek. It's very self-aware, but without being like obnoxiously self-aware. It's a dumb movie, but it feels smarter than the last two Scream movies.
Yes. It's operating within the conventions of a horror movie, and it makes not like indirect references to that fact that it's operating within the conventions.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there is literally like a line that a character says where he's trying to get like the main character to come to a house party, and he's like, I've got guns. It's the one place you won't get killed.
Yeah.
And I started cracking up because I was just like, okay, we know the place they're gonna go in the third act to get away from the killer. You know? And I was like, yep, that's it. Like
the cast is mostly unlikable, but it feels like they're intentionally unlikable.
Yeah.
I thought the revelation of the killer was clever. I don't want to spoil who the killer is. It's still dumb, but it makes sense, and it feels better than how Scream 6 handled it. And Scream 6 does the same shit.
Yeah, yes, it does. Like to the point where we were like cracking up, and like I think all of us while we were watching it pretty much figured out like close to the beginning who it was gonna be.
Yeah.
And none of us said anything because we were just kind of like,
it was kind of obvious.
Yeah, it's kind of obvious,
but also
the film
did
doesn't
not
care.
ruin the experience.
Yeah,
it was very clearly a like, yeah, we're gonna make this way, and you know, you're gonna like it or not. Who cares?
The kills are brutal but fun.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the first actual slasher kill is really fun. There's some deaths beforehand in a if you've seen Krampus and you've seen that movie's opening montage where it's Thanksgiving Black Friday, it's that but on crack. And it's still fun, but it's also disgustingly on point with how fucked our species is. I was not I mean I wanted to see the movie, but I was not expecting to like it nearly as much as I did. I thought it was genuinely clever, genuinely funny. It's dumb as fuck.
Yes.
But it knows that it's dumb as fuck and embraces that it's dumb as fuck and uses that to its advantage, in my opinion. It's not quite as bombastic as the original fake trailer. It almost feels like Eli Roth was like showing some restraint and
which
like
wild.
knowing that some stuff that was fine in 2008 would not fly in 2023. But I it didn't feel like he was like self-censoring. It just felt like, no, this is a better idea for current fucking year. Although I still would have liked it if there was a scene where a girl was making out with a guy and she pulls away and now she's making out with this decapitated head, because that was wonderful. Or I still wish the film, even though again this was in the fake trailer, had the scene where just somebody was dead and somebody walks up to the corpse, touches the ground, and brings up the blood and tastes the blood and is like, it's blood. Like, son of a bitch. Patrick Dempsey was great in it. I liked him a lot. I haven't seen him in a movie in a while. I think this is his first horror movie since Scream 3. And he was fun. I like it. There's not much else I can say. It's a dumb, stupid slasher horror movie. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Just know it's dumb.
Yes.
Fundamentally, I don't like slasher movies. This one was fun.
Yeah, agreed.
Beautiful.
All right, number 9. Oh boy, do I love a good zombie apocalypse.
Ooh.
But do I really love a zombie apocalypse when it does something different?
Oh my god.
My number 9 is called Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead. Zom 100 is an anime. It started as a manga in 2018. It just got its adaptation this year. You can watch it on Netflix now, and they also did a live action like movie version. You can skip that. The gimmick of Zom 100 is that it is the early stages of the zombie apocalypse, and your main character is just a dude who's office spacing it. He was a like young salary man. He's 24. He's working a number crunching job full of overtime that he fucking hates. His job abuses him. He's getting jaded. He's losing the will to live. He works this job for like 3 years. And as the first episode is progressing, all the color is draining out of the shots. And this whole sequence, the whole pilot episode of the show, and they're 30-minute episodes, Like the first 25 minutes is just him losing the will to live until it's completely black and white. And then the zombie outbreak happens. And he just has a light bulb go off. And he goes, oh my God, I don't have to go to work anymore. And color bursts back to life and makes it a point throughout the series of everything is done in exaggerated, like, rainbow color schemes. Blood isn't red, blood is neon.
Awesome.
And it's just the adventures of this dude released from his salary life and gets a chance to live again just because it's the zombie apocalypse. And he makes a bucket list of 100 things that he wants to do with his life before he's inevitably turned into one of the undead.
Nice.
And it's just him and some buddies that he gathers up, some other survivors, getting into adventures and fucking around and knocking off things on his bucket list that could be like small little things of like, oh, you know, I want to flirt with a cute airline attendant. And his buddy's like, well, it's the zombie apocalypse. Planes aren't exactly flying around anymore. And then they run into another survivor who he chats to for 5 minutes, and she's an airline attendant. And he goes, yeah, cool, checks it off his list. And then she gets murdered.
Oh, beautiful.
It was one that I just went into on a whim of just like, what's on Netflix? And I threw it on and I binged the whole fucking thing in one day.
Damn.
It's fantastic. So,
damn.
For doing something different in a genre I adore, Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead, number 9.
Nice. Nice. All right, my number 9 is higher on someone else's list. Go, James.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh, I think.
Silence.
Shit. Okay.
Silence is the answer.
Yeah. Okay. I think he had to BRB for a second.
Yeah,
so
I think he's on dog duty.
We're technical difficulties, folks. I'm trying to think of what.
Savage.
I know. I'm trying to think of like what I can even say. I'm excited because my number 9 and 10 are definitely things that we experienced together. So I'm glad that other people also like them. And I kind of did predict. I was pretty sure one of them was going to be higher on. I was thinking your list. Hey James.
Oh, good, you're back. It's your turn.
Yeah. My number 9 was higher on someone's list. Oh. So, womp.
I was hoping Lee would take longer. I needed a cigarette.
No, I'm trying to keep this concise so we're not here for 6 hours.
Oh, no, we're going to... Listen, yes. I know you two are going to have a 6-hour conversation about Baldur's Gate 3, so it's fine.
Absolutely we are.
So, my number 9...
I'm trying to save time.
Yeah, exactly. Save time on everything else.
I was going to cut if that was the case, but considering the fact that you guys were talking and it's probably funny, I'm just going to leave it all in. So, fuck you, fuck you viewers, namely Renzi. My number 9... It's not super great, but I think its strengths outweigh its flaws quite a bit. For me, it's the best in the franchise, even though from what I can tell online, a lot of people kind of consider it to be the black sheep of the franchise. I think mostly because of gameplay perspective stuff. And admittedly, a lot of the gameplay perspective stuff has issues. But my number 9 is Fatal Frame 4 Mask of the Lunar Eclipse.
Okay.
It has its issues, and it introduces a lot of stupid shit that I don't like. Like, picking up items is a giant fucking chore in this game. They introduced this stupid mechanic where pickupables in the environment are actually hidden until you shine a flashlight on them, which is dumb. And then when you go to pick it up, you have to hold a button, and it does this super slow, tense thing of your character slowly reaching for it to make it suspenseful, because randomly a ghost hand can comically pop up and grab your arm and do some health damage to you. And if that happens... and you don't, like, release the button in time, you lose whatever item it was, which is really fucking dumb. I've heard some people complain about the controls. Personally, I didn't have that big of a problem with the controls itself. And some elements of it feel cheap and bullshitty, and some elements feel off because it's a Wii exclusive Japanese game that has been remastered for modern hardware for modern controllers, which is weird. But the thing that mostly saves it for me is the writing. Fatal Frame is a franchise that I desperately want to love, and I aesthetically think, like, from an aesthetic perspective, I think is really, really fucking strong. But there's a lot of stupid shit in this franchise that kind of, like, ruins it for me. And just frustrating game design stuff, and occasionally some narrative aspects of it. Fatal Frame 2 is usually cited as like one of the scariest games of all time, and it's a really strong game, and it has a very strong emotional narrative, sure. But for me, part of it is a little dampered by the fact that the first three Fatal Frame games kind of have the exact same inciting incident where there's some super fucked up ritual that needs to happen in X location, and it goes wrong for whatever reason. And now there's spooky ghosts. Fatal Frame 4 is a prequel to 1, and it avoids that trope. It does involve, like, a ritual, but it's not, like, a super fucked up ritual or anything like that. It's just, two versions of the ritual happen to be going on at the same time, and it caused some shit fuckery, and now there's ghosts. The big strength, like, the game is written and directed by Suda51, who is, I'm a big fan of. His games are weird and interesting. A lot of people know him as the wacky meme dude because a lot of his more popular works are wacky meme shit, like No More Heroes, Lollipop Chainsaw, Shadows of the Damned, like the crazy over-the-top stuff. And he kind of doesn't like that reputation, but that's what usually gets his stuff greenlit. He's much more into, like, noir and, like, serious, weird, fucked up cop drama type shit. And Fatal Frame 4 plays into that, where one of the main characters is a detective. Like, just a dude who's investigating this case. And he's, like, such a strong, well-written fucking character. And it's interesting, and it's neat, and it's unique for the fucking franchise. Like, he's not the first male playable character in the franchise, but he's, like, the best so far. From a negative standpoint, from narrative standpoint, the game has 3 playable characters, but it easily could have been cut down to 2. It almost feels like it has 3 playable characters because Fatal Frame 3 had 3 playable characters, so it's like, we got to do the same thing. But like, you could have easily cut it down to just one of the potential victims and the cop. The basic premise is years and years and years ago on this island, ritual took place, weird shit happened, 5 young girls were involved. Some 10 odd years later, 2 of them have died mysteriously, and the other 3 have gone back to the island to figure out why they're dead. Like, they have no memory of what happened. So you're playing as 2 of those girls and the cop who was investigating this serial killer / weird occultist motherfucker. You could have cut one of the 2 girls and it would have been a tighter, much more polished experience, but just the writing feels really, really strong, and it's interesting and it's unique, and I kind of like it. It's not for everyone, it's not perfect, but I mostly wanted to shout it out because of how fucking unique this was for Fatal Frame. I still haven't played Fatal Frame 5, and there's elements of that I know I'm gonna hate, which is why I wanted to get this out of the way and praise Fatal Frame 4, since I'm, just based on what I know about Fatal Frame 5, whenever I do play it, I am confident that's going to end up on one of my worst lists whenever I do get around to playing it. But yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's unique if you can look past some of the jankier gameplay elements, because it was clearly a low-budget rushed game. you'd get a kick out of it. And more importantly, I think the genesis of Suda51's involvement is really fucking cute and adorable and wholesome. Because Grasshopper Manufacturer, the company that Suda's with, and Suda in particular, was approached to be involved with Fatal Frame 4. And Suda doesn't like horror. And he is particularly afraid of ghosts. Like, in real life, afraid of ghosts. But his wife is a huge fan of Fatal Frame. So he decided to do it. And when he told his wife about this, his wife forced him to play through the first Fatal Frame game, the first 3 Fatal Frame games, and then laughed at him and made fun of him every single time he got scared. He literally only did this to make a game for his wife. And that's so fucking wholesome and adorable from arguably the most meme auteur in Japanese game dev.
And I love the extra added layer of she's just like trolling him the whole time he's playing through these games.
She's just like backseat gaming, watching him and laughing at him every single time he gets scared. It's like that's adorable 10 out of 10 relationship goals. Hashtag.
Yeah. That's how you do it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love it. So yeah, it's not perfect. It easily could have been a honorable mention, but I just really wanted to shout it out because I thought it was a unique experience. And that's it. That's number 9. It's done. We're done. Get out of here. Lee, it's your turn.
All right. Well, moving on to number 8 on the list. It is the first time that I've put a documentary onto my list.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Neil Breen's 5-film documentary?
This one was an unexpected. I shouldn't say unexpected banger. It was something that I didn't even know existed until my mom put it onto my radar, and I went and checked it out. It's called Val.
Oh, this is the Val Kilmer documentary, isn't it?
This is the Val Kilmer documentary.
Oh.
It is. It's told through the perspective of all the video that he's taken throughout the years. So Val Kilmer got a video camera right as they became readily available for the common consumer, and he just took it to every single film shoot period throughout his entire life. He recorded absolutely everything about his adult life, and this documentary is basically just telling the story of his career through all this video that he's taken.
Interesting.
And it's wonderful to watch and to celebrate his career, and then also just has this extra added layer of, it's very bittersweet because Val had throat cancer.
Yeah.
And because of the intense chemo treatments he went through, his throat is healing right now. He's only able to speak because of this device in his throat.
I've heard about that. Yeah, it's tragic.
Yeah, supposedly it's gonna get better with time, and he will be able to gain more of his voice back. But it's a really insightful, beautiful watch, because at the same time that you're getting to celebrate his history, and he's in my top 10 favorite actors of all time. I adore Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
He has a certain level of self-awareness during this documentary of he can't separate who he is now from the actor that he feels like he used to be. And it fucking just hurts sometimes to watch. There's a sequence where he attends a screening at Tombstone where they put up a big projector screen and they're going to watch Tombstone, and he did a meet and greet with the fans, and it's a great time. Everybody's hyped to see fucking Doc Holliday, and he, gets on the microphone and does a speech for them, and everyone's hyped. And then he just separates himself from the viewing and just starts crying because he's like, that guy on the screen isn't me anymore. What am I now? And it's just so fucking painful.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So it was a really brilliant documentary to give me a look into one of my favorite actors, and just this, it's a fucking comeback story. Like,
Sure.
I want this man to heal up and get back to it, be able to come back into some more roles, because the dude's still got the chops, man. Val's a fucking great actor. So
Yeah.
yeah, if anybody has Amazon Prime, check it out. Val is my number 8.
Nice. Very nice. All right. So my number 8 should surprise no one, because I feel like every time this company releases a game in a year that we do a podcast, I put their game on my best of list without question.
Why is it? Why is Nier Automata on your best and disappointing?
Fuck you. No, but yeah, this company just they continue to make games that always hit for me. This one in particular is fairly low, just because it is a remake, and because it is a remake, they were somewhat limited in scope and in what they could do. But I also think that, I not only is the game really good, but also, like, major kudos to the devs for developing a video game in wartime.
Yeah.
So yeah, my number 8 is Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened.
Nice.
I supported their Kickstarter. I backed their Kickstarter. I platinumed the game on both Steam and PS5. So I bought the game twice. Yeah, I'm a massive fucking nerd for these games. I love their franchise. I love the way that Frogwares makes games. I really just enjoy existing in that world. I enjoy going through the writing. I love it. I think my one criticism for this game, which is something that could not be avoided, again because of the aforementioned, it is a remake, it has limited scope. They made a lot of improvements to their sort of like mind palace, like deduction mechanics in Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 that I really fucking liked. And unfortunately, a lot of those couldn't come over to Awakened. They definitely did some improvements, but not to the extent that Chapter 1 allowed. They had to limit it, because like it would have required writing like alternate paths for quests for the mysteries that they didn't have, because this is an old game. So what they did add was really good, and what they kept and what they changed was really cool. Yeah, I was just like, this is a really solid remake. I like it a lot. It's very different from the original, but in all the ways that a remake should be. It improved on like everything. So yeah, Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened, number 8.
Nice.
Beautiful. Got to get that Holmes representation on your list.
Absolutely.
It's not complete without it.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Beautiful. Well, my number 8, I'm going to keep it brief. I was also genuinely surprised that I liked this much. Even though I think on our podcast episode I sounded a little more muted on it. Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie.
Yes.
Hey.
This was a lot of fun. It's got its issues, but it was a lot of fun. Matthew Lillard is great. The animatronics were fantastic. The audio design was fantastic. This felt like a really solid gateway horror movie for kids. And it was a lot darker and more violent than I expected it to be.
I will shoot you.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to say. We did an entire episode on it.
Yeah.
Go listen to it if you want or don't. I don't fucking care. It was fun. This might be...
It was surprising.
This is easily... As someone who doesn't really give too much of a shit about the franchise, even though as an outsider I find it interesting, this might be one of my top 3 favorite video game adaptations, movie-wise.
Yeah.
Like, this was
probably.
really fucking solid, I
Do
thought.
you have a clear number one?
Mortal
Because
Kombat.
I have a clear number one.
It's
What?
Mortal Kombat. It's Mortal Kombat.
Nice.
95. Yeah, it's it.
My clear number one is the Ace Attorney movie.
I still haven't seen that yet. My number.
Oh, we gotta.
It's been on our list. I wanted to pair that with the live action Yakuza movie because it's both of them are
the same director.
Yeah, Takashi Miike. Yeah.
Yes,
My to round out the top three, the other one would be the first Silent Hill movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's solid. 4 would probably be the first Resident Evil movie. It's dumb and shit and a bad adaptation of Resident Evil, but it's fun. And number 5 would be Welcome to Raccoon City.
I was gonna say, gotta be in there somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 or 5 kind of fluctuate, but still, it's wonderful. Anyways, that's all I want to say about Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't really have much else.
Great.
Oh yeah.
We have a whole
All
podcast.
right.
Lee, number 7.
All right. So this one is a little lower on the list than I think I might have put it if I actually sat down and played it more. Although I have just come to realize that as I get older, as my temperament changes, as I just kind of like relax and chill the fuck out, I just genuinely don't enjoy games anymore that are competitive. I don't fucking want to PvP anybody.
Yeah, I don't like doing that.
I'll co-op with some people and fight against the AI.
Yeah.
I'll get into an immersive single player campaign, but when it just comes to like one-on-one me versus another human being, I don't care what kind of game it is. I'm not that down with it anymore.
Yeah.
That being said, man, Street Fighter 6 slaps.
Hey.
Hell yeah.
This was actually on my honorable mentions for a while until the Costume 3 controversy or Costume 2 controversy or whatever.
Sure. Mechanically speaking, I absolutely adore what they've done with the franchise. They made it more accessible to a wider variety of players with the modern control scheme, which like the hardcore fan base I'm sure has their opinions about. But frankly, if you're making the game more accessible to a wider fan base, fantastic. Bring them on in. Street Fighter has one of the most like enduring fucking cool casts of characters, and they all got visual updates because there's a bit of a time skip in this one, so they look fucking cool. It handles great. The netcode out the gate was pretty damn good. Like, usually if you get a fighting game week 1 and jump into some ranked matches, that connection's usually pretty dicey, and Street Fighter 6 was able to have a solid connection. So the games I did play against other players were really smooth. Just all around, what a powerful addition to an already great franchise. Shout out to my number 1 top tier draft pick waifu Cammy. This podcast is being recorded on January 7th, which is the day after her birthday. I love you.
Cammy's best girl, yeah.
There's a whole mentor student system in the game mode where you partner up with the actual world warriors and they teach you their fighting styles, and you gotta give some of them certain items, and I just kept having to give Cammy jellied eel.
Yeah, you love giving her your eel.
And I don't know why. I just had to keep shoving all this jellied eel into her mouth until she took me on as her disciple. 10 out of 10 would jellied eel again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an interesting time for these major fighting game franchises. Like MK1 just came out and did its thing. We've got Tekken 8 in this coming year, but Street Fighter 6 absolutely killed it.
So now I have to ask, because I know you. All right. Well, I don't know. I'm very I don't know much about much. Have you actually played like people in this game? Because I know you can play through the story that you have.
Yeah, I did quite a few ranked matches.
All right. Damn.
I just burn out on the competitive aspect of it. Like
I can dig that for sure.
I don't get tilted. I just get kind of like emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I've never been great at fighting games, and I don't like doing competitive fighting games unless it's like 1v1 with friends, that's fine because it's like it's not sweaty.
Yeah.
But online, half the time you got to deal with weird netcode stuff or weird internet stuff or a bunch of sweaty assholes. And same thing with like just anything PvP. Like, there's very few games that I like enough to play people online in, and those I can count those on like maybe one or two fingers.
If you watched our stream yesterday of Bloodborne, you might have noticed me getting invaded while James was dead and simply sprinting away from the invader until he disconnected in frustration.
Yeah, it's great.
So that's my feelings on PvP.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. I just ran around. I was like, I won't fight you. Leave me alone.
So yeah, it's got a really good single player mode,
Nice.
which is great for me who doesn't want to do the PvP. Just keep buying all the jellied eel and shoving it into Cammy's mouth. Get that affection rating up.
Yeah.
Is that the sex eels you were talking about?
Yes, indeed.
God damn it.
So yeah, Street Fighter 6, number 7.
Yeah, that as someone who is not super big into fighting games and super not big into Street Fighter outside of casually thinking that Street Fighter 3 is the best Street Fighter. Yeah, 6 was solid. I got it for free, full disclosure, from Capcom, but I was having fun with it. I still want to finish the story mode. And in honor of you, and also because Cammy is best girl, the first classic costume I unlocked was Cammy's.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean,
correct move.
Yeah.
The objectively correct answer.
Yeah, it's like all these other people I don't give a shit about. Chun-Li, yeah, you got fucking amazing thighs, but you're not Cammy. Go away. Get out of my sight.
Although new strong competitors in that field with Manon and Maritza.
I mean, sure.
Manon is cool, and then gigantic gladiator muscle mommy. Come on.
I'm more into like the like Karen, and yeah, she's solid. I got my type. I stick with my type. But you know, Cammy's strong because she got that beret going on.
Damn right.
Nice.
Yeah, Jill Valentine's beret and shoulder pads was my sexual awakening. Beret is my thing.
Oh, all right, fair enough. All right. Number 7 for me.
Get in there.
It's from a franchise that I won't say I've never played. Because I bought the first game. I played like 2 hours, and this was years and years ago, so it was before I had the compulsion to finish games. And I just went, you know what? I don't like this. And I turned it off and I never played it again. But
I didn't expect Baldur's Gate to be so low.
Shut up, James. But basically, the thing that got me to play was, one, I played a previous game they made and I didn't hate it, and I platinumed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. In certain regards. In other regards, fuck that game. And then 2, someone, and I believe it was James, told me, hey, Kat, there's a Mind Palace mechanic.
Oh,
and
I know.
went,
Yeah,
sold.
I know what it is.
I went, hell yeah. So yeah, my number 7 is Alan Wake 2.
Yay.
Yeah, I think I definitely have some complaints.
Sure. But I bet you didn't expect booting it up to see a fucking musical, and then when you knew about the musical, you didn't expect it to be so fucking infectious.
The song is insane. I will say I'm really bad about the song was so good it was distracting, and therefore it was really hard to actually play.
Yes.
So the second time I went through it, I actually muted it for part of it.
Oh my god.
Because I was just like, I literally can't play the game that way. It's just it's something's wrong with my brain. I understand fully that like it's blasphemy, but I'm just gonna say I'm just like I can't do it. It'll really break me. I am begging game developers to stop putting run on the sticks. Like, please. I don't want to press L3 to run. Just don't do it, please. So mercifully for me, they had a very robust controller remap setup, and I was able to remap it to something that I liked, and then I started enjoying the game way fucking more. I will also say that, like, I loved Alan's like writer's room mechanic. I loved the way that came into play in the like affecting the world and stuff like that. And I actually thought that Saga's Mind Palace mechanic was kind of weak. Mostly because from a Mind Palace mechanic, I expect a lot more deduction, and
Sure.
it wasn't deduction. It was just it was a match game basically, and I was like, okay, all right, that's fine, but I wanted more.
A match game without nudity? Get out of here! You're not Hoonie Pop.
I loved the story. I loved the art direction. And initially, this game was below Sherlock Holmes on my list because Sherlock Holmes has a better Mind Palace mechanic, even if it's not as good as their other one. However, I beat the game. I got the platinum, and then I started Final Cut, and I beat Final Cut within this year. And specifically the Dr. Darling tapes that you find in Final Cut in the like New Game Plus mode were what edged it out over Sherlock Holmes.
10 out of 10.
Because, I'm sorry, but if you stick a confused science man in front of a camera and he's talking to me and the tape is glitching, I immediately am transported back. My brain is transported back in time to the Mist linking books, and I go, 10 out of 10. This is the best thing I've ever seen.
Dr. Darling is wonderful. I love him.
I was like, I will bring you more red pages, sir. So
and it's more Matthew Peretta. I love him.
Yeah,
he's a great voice actor.
He's fantastic, and I was literally just like, Atreus.
And just as a quick aside, again, Alan Wake 2 was on my honorable mentions, but R.I.P. James McCaffrey.
Yeah.
You were one of my favorite voice actors. I'm glad that you got to get one last thing out, and it's a Max Payne reference, but goddamn, dude, your death hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my number 7. Alan Wake 2.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. My number 7 is a bit of a cheat, and it's also tied into Alan Wake 2. It's Poets of the Fall / Old Gods of Asgard's new album, Rebirth.
You son of a bitch.
It's mostly a compilation album of all of their previous Old Gods of Asgard stuff, and it also includes their new material for Alan Wake 2, and it also includes 2 tracks specifically recorded for this album. But despite the fact that I did not finish Alan Wake 2, I could not in good conscience not include Herald of Darkness in some capacity.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
God fucking damn it, dude.
It's stupid how good that song is.
It's so good.
I'm mad. I'm mad at how good it is because I'm just like, and also I will say that like there's a later section of the game that you haven't gotten to yet that also incorporates a song and fighting.
I've heard about that, and it's similar to Alan Wake 1, and I'm like, I don't.
Yes.
I'm game. I'm game.
Here's the thing. For me, that part was not as bad as the musical version in terms of like concentration.
Sure.
So I was a little bit less because it feels more like backing stuff rather than the main event. And when it's the main event, I'm like, I can't focus on anything.
Yeah, it's Remedy. Remedy has had a long history of working with Poets of the Fall and also with Old Gods of Asgard. They since Max Payne 2, and they did it with Alan Wake 1, Alan Wake's American Nightmare, Control, which was their previous best Remedy collaboration for me with Take Control and the Ashtray Maze. But as much as I like that song, it was also like the way it blended with the game itself, because the environment warping around you was really fucking cool. And this is kind of both, but also because the song is such a catchy fucking banger, and it's this delightfully stupid tribute to everything Remedy has ever done. And while I'm normally against like self-insert character type stuff, Sam Lake being Alex Casey is so fucking charming, knowing Remedy's history. Yeah. And also the fact that he's it's not fun. It's fun, and he's not egotist. Like he's he will fucking dance in a stupid fucking
Yeah, at the Game Awards.
Well,
yeah.
Also in game too. Like it's to see this creative director do this stupid goofy dance is just so charming.
Step it up, Kojima.
Yeah.
Get in there, Kojima.
Yeah.
Like every single time I see Kojima,
30 minutes of your fucking favorite actors fucking gawping at the camera.
Yeah, every single
Start
time,
dancing,
every
man.
single time I see Kojima in a game, especially one he directs, I kind of eye roll and I'm like, this is dumb. Like he inserts himself a lot into his work.
Yeah.
And it's eye rolling, but
I will say also, because I've mentioned before how much I hate like on the nose lyrics where people are literally singing about like what's happening on screen or like what's in the media, that criticism does not apply to this soundtrack.
No, it's
the
very
way that
creative.
they do it is so fucking good that I'm just like, fucking take notes, Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, it's so creative, and Marco's vocals are wonderful. I love the album. I love Poets of the Fall. It's my favorite band. Lee and I have had many conversations about it, and Kat is a recent inductee, even though we've been bitching about Poets of the Fall for years.
Sure.
The last thing I'll say, which kind of also ties into the whole reason why I kind of like the whole Sam Lake legacy thing of including himself in the game too, is and also it somewhat ties in recently because they recently took a anniversary photo of the cast of Max Payne 1, because every single member of the cast, like whose likeness is used in the game, was like a developer or a friend of the developer. And I completely forgot until I saw this photo. The main antagonist of Max Payne 1 is modeled after Sam Lake's mom.
Oh my god,
it's
yes.
so charming and wonderful. And like another character, and I didn't actually know this until this morning, another character in Max Payne 1 who's like the secret Illuminati dude who's like really shady and probably evil, is modeled after Sam Lake's dad.
Beautiful.
And it's like
Beautiful.
10 out of 10. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, I'm done. Post of the Fall, Rebirth, Old God of Asgard. Listen to it, or just watch Herald of Darkness. Watch the Game Awards thing. I've seen some people call it cringe, but whatever. Oh,
no, fuck off.
Before we move on, I forgot
Don't yuck somebody else's yum.
I forgot one honorable mention that I want to just quickly sneak in, and that's Ghost Files, which is a YouTube series from Watcher, from the two former BuzzFeed people. It's basically Ghost Adventures, but actually charming and funny by two very funny, very charismatic people, one of whom is a skeptic, one of whom is a believer in ghost stuff, and it's really funny as they both make fun of each other, and one of them more so is making fun of the fact that all this ghost hunting shit is bullshit and stupid. Yeah, that's it.
Hell yeah, brother.
Number 6.
Hell yeah.
Hit me.
Higher on somebody else's list.
Fuck you.
Boom. All right. My number 6. I got a bit of an interesting experience with this one because a lot of people that watched the live action adaptation have already seen it, but I watched the live action adaptation first.
Oh,
and
I know what it is.
I said, hey, this sucked so fucking much. I'm gonna watch the original to basically like make myself even more mad at the live action remake.
Correct.
And yeah, so I feel like I had a very wild experience with this because most people have already seen it by now, and I completely missed the boat on it for years, and finally I just decided, you know what, fuck it, yeah, let's watch it. So the Cowboy Bebop anime is my number 6.
Yeah, it's so fucking good, isn't it?
It's so good. The backgrounds alone, I can fucking write like so many love letters to. It's got such an interesting atmosphere. The characters are really fun. It's definitely very like of its time. There's certain things that
Did you watch it subbed or dubbed?
I watched it subbed.
Oh, interesting.
No wait. I think I started it subbed. I think I switched on and off.
Okay.
I did both.
Because fun fact, which I might have mentioned to you, the creator
the
insists to watch it dubbed because he prefers
actually
the dub.
no, I did watch it dubbed. I remember Will and I Will owns the series, and he was like, "Oh, let's just watch it on my thing." And so we watched one episode. We watched one episode subbed, and I said, "Can we switch it back?" kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, the voice acting is really, really good.
Yeah.
Again, I think there are things that have like not aged super well, but also like it's not really a like, oh, like this is super racist now, or like this is super. It's just kind of like a, this is how things were at the time, and this was really progressive the way it was done here.
Yeah.
It's just maybe not the way that like most people would like to see it now, but like it's still like again, it's not like it's like, oh, this is awful, this should be like, you know, like we need a warning on this shit. It's like, no, it's just, yeah, this is how things were back in the 90s or whatever. And this is really progressive here. So
it was acceptable in the 90s.
And that OST, dude.
Exactly.
That fucking OST.
Yeah.
Ed actually being not cringe.
Yes, I was shocked because the tiny fucking little teaser that we get of Ed in the live action, I was like, oh my god, this is the kind of anime character I fucking can't stand.
Yeah, and then
like,
she's wonderful in the show.
Yeah, I was genuinely like, I bet she's gonna be awful. I bet it's going to be one of those things where like, oh, this plays because it's anime, but it sucks like actually seeing it. And then it's like, no, they just got her character completely fucking wrong.
Her exit episode crushes me every time.
Yeah.
It's especially with Call Me playing and just her and Ein leaving, and just it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. No, so so while I didn't get the experience of James where like I could see the kind of like little hidden Easter eggs and stuff like that, because I had no fucking point of reference, I did get this great kind of like, I could watch Bebop and be like, oh, so this is what it should have looked like if it was done well.
Yeah.
And I know now what the, you know, how they adapted this and why they chose to adapt it this way, but fuck.
Yeah. FaZe Bay, Jet's great, Spike's great. The entire fucking cast is great.
They're all very, very fun. The world is so cool. I love all of the space travel stuff is so neat, and how it's like, it kind of reminded me a little bit of like Japanese like train systems and stuff, where like things are in different languages, but like to see that actually like incorporated into space travel is not a thing I see like ever.
No.
I think Blade Runner did it, but also that, you know.
And
it's one of those shows that
right?
It's one of those series that I think is regarded perfectly accurate. It's like everyone makes a big deal out of Bebop, like, oh, it's like one of the best of it. You know what? It's rated perfectly. Yes, it is. It's that fucking good.
It's one of those things where like, you know, like we talked about Nier, and I'm like, I don't want to, like, I feel like it was overhyped and I hated it, but it's like, I don't think you can overhype Bebop. Like, I don't think it's possible. It's just that good.
and on that note, I still want us to sit down and watch the
movie.
No, I mean there's the movie as well that I want you to see as well. But Shinichiro Watanabe did another anime which is set in the same universe as Bebop. It's not strictly a follow-up. Carol and Tuesday, which is a radically different series of just two girls on Mars starting a band. And I have seen one clip of it, which is what I've sent to a lot of people, and it's just of them jamming for the first time. And it is so wonderfully directed that I'm like, I need to see this series, but I want to watch it with people. So
I'm down. I'm game. That sounds great.
Yeah. And
all right, so my number 6 is Cowboy Bebop the anime.
Beautiful. My number 6, I am going to keep brief because I don't want to spoil it. It's Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon.
Copy.
Ooh, holy shit. Okay.
I don't want to say a lot of it because I know Lee wants to play it, and he's been saving it for 2024. Correct. I know you don't give a shit about Armored Core Cats.
No, I do not. Sorry, again, no shade to those you do.
Yeah, I'm
just not into mechs.
I have only completed one playthrough, and gotten one ending. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to elaborate any further. But of all the main missions that I have done in Armored Core, there was only one that fell flat for me. The entire game itself is just really fucking solid.
Hell yeah.
I like the fact that I do remember I played this late, and I do remember that there was a lot of discussion about the game's difficulty, and I think that was overblown by a lot of people who don't get Armored Core, because the key difference between like Armored Core and other FromSoft games is that Armored Core really embraces respecking and like rebuilding your mech to see what works and what benefits you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Armored Core 6 makes this more accessible and easier than ever, because like you could buy a part, and unlike other games where like, let's say you want to sell something back to the shop, where it's like you have to sell it at a discounted price. No, you sell it back for exactly what you bought it for. So you're not losing any money. This game is embracing. Experiment with your build, see what works for you, see what gets you through this shit. So like you could run into a mission or a boss that pushes your shit in and is frustrating and fucking tilting and just makes you mad. But then you go back to the workshop, you rebuild your mech, and you roll in and you stomp that fucker into the dirt. The one exception for me was the final boss. That was a little bit of a difficulty wall for me, that I thought was a little cheap and steep, but I don't want to get too much into it because there's a lot of variables in Armored Core and I don't want to spoil it. But just overall, gotcha. I think Armored Core 6 was fan-fucking-tastic.
Hell yeah.
And I'm so happy that From Software has opened themselves back up to doing stuff other than Souls-likes. I love Soulsborne and I love Souls-like, but From Software has a rich history of doing other shit. And I've seen some people try to claim that Armored Core 6 is a Soulsborne game or a Souls-like, and they're fucking wrong.
Yeah, Will actually mentioned that he heard a lot of people saying how hard Armored Core 6 was and how Souls-like it was.
It's not.
And yeah, and he played a little bit. He's been super busy this year, but he has played a tiny bit, and he was like, this is nowhere near as difficult as Elden Ring or any of the Souls games.
It's hard if you go in and you happen to go into a mission with the wrong build. But if you take the time and experiment,
play around with your build,
or
that's always been a thing with the series. If you stick to the same build and just try to brute force it, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, and it's. Or alternatively, you can, like, if you just want to breeze through it, you just look up online which build works best for what mission at what point in the game. You know, if you're cool with that, that works. And again, like, this game encourages and embraces experimentation, and it's a lot of fucking fun. I was initially worried because I think it's in arena mode, because there's, like, arena where it's, like, 1v1 mech fights, where I got PTSD for a potential worst of in the future. It's not mentioned. Anybody who's played it will be familiar with it, where when you start it, it says activating combat mode, and that brought back this awful fucking PTSD trigger for me with this terrible fucking video game. But it doesn't do it nearly as often, and it's not nearly as fucking annoying. But yeah, I like Armored Core 6. I'm done. Fuck it. We're done. Lee.
Oh yeah.
5.
Good shit. All right. Let's get spooky.
Ooh.
Let's talk about Evil Dead Rise.
Oh, I thought you were going to say The Maze.
That's my number 9.
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah.
This movie was so much fun.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's the one exception I've had recently to the whole thing I've been going on about like, let these franchises die. Like, let's do some new shit. This was just such a ride.
Yeah.
I love that it's the last time they did the Evil Dead reboot, I think it tried to take itself too seriously.
Agreed.
And that's why it didn't really vibe with me. Evil Dead Rise was letting it start to have some fun again. It didn't go back into full campy schlock like Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness, but it was allowing itself to just be tongue-in-cheek a little more often, and it struck a perfect balance for me. You know, I have mentioned on the podcast before, I don't like horror comedies.
Yeah.
But I like a horror movie that has a little bit of self-awareness and plays, you know, a little bit into that vibe. I think the only straight up horror comedy I like is Cabin in the Woods. And there's a lot of other fine movies that people talk about that are horror comedies, you know, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I've got a lot of respect for Reanimator. Reanimator's a fun movie.
I love Reanimator.
But this was just, you know, it was the horror movie I needed this year. Something that was just messy and ugly, but still like willing to have a laugh and talk some shit. Alyssa Sutherland as Ellie, who's the first like real Deadite in the movie, is such a killer performance.
God, she's so good. Yeah,
she was so fucking creepy. It had these just delightful beats of just, here's a scene of just horrible Evil Dead brutality, and you go, that was really uncomfortable. And then it'll do something that just makes you do like a guilty chuckle to yourself, like, oh, I shouldn't laugh at that, but here we are. This was, you know, this is the kind of horror movie I need more of. You know, I
agreed.
I'm not a slasher guy. I'm not somebody who wants to watch a movie just to watch kill after kill after kill.
Yeah.
This was something.
Substance.
This had some more meat that I could really chew into.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hoping they do another one. Keep the same fucking team. Lee Cronin was great as the writer director. He knew exactly what to go for. So yeah, I'd hope to see more of this. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, same basically. Like I think the only thing you haven't touched on that I want to bring up again, and again, we did a whole podcast on this, so but I always really appreciate when horror movies do not pull punches, especially when it comes to like child characters. You know, like I don't like it when they do like, oh, there's a cat, we're gonna kill the cat off in the beginning, or we're gonna kill the dog off. It's like that's just kind of a cheap, easy kill to like not raise the stakes too much. But I like when they don't do the like, oh, the kids are untouchable, they're gonna have a bunch of near misses, but like ultimately they'll be fine.
Oh no, these kids get fucked up.
The kids get fucked up in this one, and it's dark and twisted, and I appreciate that. I like it when they get dark and twisted without going for the super low hanging fruit. So yeah, where they go for the stuff that's like really fucking traumatically damaging.
Yeah, this was a taste that I need a full course of in 2024. Bring on more of this.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, Evil Dead Rise number 5.
And remember, they also what was it? Emily Bronte.
Yeah.
Was in the.
You know that reminds me.
We need more of that.
Hey, Kat, thanks for reminding me that there's that Emily Bronte movie that we need to watch as a meme. Because I have that entire list of bullshit from when I was in the hotel. None of it made my list, but
that's right. Oh my god.
None of it made the list, but yeah, I didn't watch the Emily Bronte movie because like no, this is already funny based on the trailer because of our Emily Bronte jokes in Evil Dead Rise, and we need to watch it just because of you, Lee.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. That's a good number 5. I dig it. Actually, not the one that I thought would be higher on the list from me to you, but I guess the other one is coming up also. Okay, so my number 5 is one that I've mentioned before a couple of times on, you know, Saber's channel or in the Discord, a couple of different spots where it's super unfair that they released in January of last year and therefore like weren't eligible for any game awards.
Fuck you, it's January.
It's a really good game, but like, yeah, the game awards were just like, no, you released in the next year, so it doesn't count. And also this year, no, it doesn't count, you released too early. So it's really stupid. My number 5 is Pentiment.
Ooh,
So it's an Obsidian game, I believe, from the guy who did like New Vegas, and the director is like a pretty storied, like branching narrative writer. And it shows. It's a really fucking solid little medieval murder mystery that spans it's like 3 acts that are split between like decades. And it's it's really cool. It's a very cool.
Yeah, this game looked dope.
Yeah, it's a very cool vibe. It's very interesting. There's a lot of like player choice involved. You build your character. You have like different stats that like give you different options. It's very, like RPG light. And then there's a lot of things where like you are solving this mystery, and kind of like who you pin the blame on has like repercussions for, decades. And yeah, it's really cool. I think my only criticism for it is that I played it twice because I wanted to see how things changed based on like different aspects. And for me, the only choice that I felt deserved more repercussions for was the one that happens at the end of Act 2, which I won't spoil, but I thought the way that they implemented it was weak when compared to a similar decision that happens in Act 1 that has a ton of effects down the road. So I understand that it was probably a what's it called? A scope issue, right? Where it's like, oh, we don't want to have 3 different Act 3s you can hop into based on your decision. Right.
Sure.
But it was still like I felt there were things that could have been changed to make it even just like simple, like one line of dialogue or a reference to the character name or something like that didn't really happen that I thought were going to happen. That's my only criticism though. It's an absolutely like astounding little title. The art direction is amazing. I cried. I laughed. 10 out of 10.
Hell yeah.
Deserved more awards. Definitely deserved actual like award recognition. So
nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Pentiment, number 5.
Well, speaking of something that deserves more award recognition, this is a bit late.
Say Neil Breen.
This is a bit of it. No, I already went through Neil Breen.
Okay.
This is a bit of a late addition to the list. But I really, really liked it, and it's higher on somebody else's list.
Gasp.
Well,
oh my god. Wow.
All right. I want to throw the dice and say this is the one Kat's been waiting for.
Yeah.
Let's talk Final Fantasy.
Yeah!
Hey, that's number 5.
Oh damn, that was my number 10. So
hey, let's go.
Shit, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about Final Fantasy 16.
Finally we get to talk about Final Fantasy 16. We were planning on doing a podcast about this when I beat the game, and then my house got fire, and then Back to Ghoul started, and then other stuff happened. I really fucking love this game. Mm-hmm. This is my favorite Final Fantasy since 12. The franchise has been very rough, mid at best, terrible at worst for me for the better part of the last 15 years. Mm-hmm. And I fucking love the characters. I got qualms with it, sure. I wish the combat was deeper, but like the physical melee combat. But this game was, for me, really, really well written, and it earned its bombastic moments. And it goes to some insane fucking places, both narratively and gameplay wise.
Okay. Lee.
We're gonna give out about this right fucking now. You do not understand, ladies and gentlemen out there, how fucking long Lee's been waiting to talk about some things in Final Fantasy 16 on this goddamn podcast. Okay, all right. You want to play a fucking video game? All right, we've got butt rock parkour tentacle monster battles. Okay. We've got fighting the king of dragons in outer space. And that's not even the most wild shit. Okay, we need context. So of the 3 of us, Kat and I were playing it kind of simultaneously. I had a bit of a head start. Kat caught up, and then we were kind of neck and neck.
Yeah.
And we were in this great rhythm of just shitpost texting each other ad nauseum with every little reaction to everything happening in this game. And it starts super Game of Thrones. It's very just political intrigue and like, oh, this royal house is doing this. And it's like, oh, well, I'm the lord of this one and I have this, god creature. And it's like, okay, this is dope.
This game starts with dry humping.
Yeah, I would.
Yes.
I would almost rather this just be like an animated series. Just let me watch this thing. Okay, and then the Cenobite pain god angel shows up, right? And
he sure does.
And oh boy.
Yeah.
Thus begins the greatest cutscene of this era of gaming. You've got our boy, the one true king, Big Barn. Barnabas, first of his name, chilling with his literal god, Ultima.
Yep.
And Ultima has this tendency to shapeshift.
Yep.
And turns into some chick that he was hooking up with. And it's like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then Ultima turns into this dude who he was feuding with. And it's like, oh, now this is really awkward. And then turns into Barnabas's mom.
His dead mom.
His dead nude mother.
They're both naked. It's implied they fucked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're in bed together.
Yep.
And then it's heavily implied they fuck.
Yep. So Lee and I have had this discussion multiple times because on paper, like per minute, Baldur's Gate 3 is the hornier game because there's a lot more sex scenes, there's a lot more nudity and like actual like sex acts that happen on screen. But I think Final Fantasy might take the cake for the weirdest level of horny. Because nothing in Baldur's Gate comes close to a god shapeshifts into your dead mom to get some pipe.
I couldn't fucking believe. The only thing I could say through the text was this game was not written by cowards.
Yeah.
Yes.
They did not pull the punches. They're like, oh no, we want you to know that this dude is laying pipe on this Cenobite angel.
Yep. But yeah,
wild. I agree.
It was insane.
I agree with the comments about the battle system. I think that it went in a great direction with the style switching. It was very like Devil May Cry light.
Yes.
I would have liked it to go deeper.
The way they handled combat here is what made me put Forspoken on the list, because I think Forspoken has a very similar combat system. It's just not as good as 16's. But I agree with you that like as somebody who hasn't, so Final Fantasy 16 is my first and only Final Fantasy. So I haven't played any of the other ones. I know, blasphemy. But I also haven't played a whole lot of things with this kind of battle system. So therefore, my frame of reference is 2, and Final Fantasy is better of the 2.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it's just stellar writing, stellar voice cast.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
This is the best dub in years. I love 12's dub. There's a couple weak moments in it. I love the dub for Tactics War of the Lions, the PSP remake or remaster of Tactics. But a lot of Final Fantasy dubs are really weak. I know a lot of people love the Final Fantasy VII remake dub, but it's a little too anime grunty for me.
Gotcha.
And it's just distracting. And for me, a lot of the actors, no disrespect to the actors in question, just fall flat. Like they sound like they're not really emoting all that much. Whereas like Ben Starr as Clive is fucking killing it.
Yeah.
Ralph Ennison as Sid is fucking killing it. His voice is so fucking smooth. Jill's voice actress, killing it.
Yeah.
Josh's voice actor, killing it. Every fucking voice actor is fucking killing it. It's so goddamn good.
My boy, Dion. Stuart Clark doing his voice. Fucking
hell
beautiful.
yeah, no, absolutely. God, the I mean, spoilers, I guess, but the moment where he like accidentally kills his dad. Oh, the acting, so fucking good.
Yeah, it's so crushing.
I was just like, yeah, I think no. So one of the reasons why this was much lower on my list was for me. My biggest criticism of the game is that I thought that the like moment-to-moment gameplay was pretty lacking. So the
side quests are really boring.
Yeah, exactly. Like moving between side quests, moving between combat encounters.
You could tell it was a campaign written by somebody who does MMOs.
Yes, exactly. And like the thing that kept me going really 100% was getting to the narrative bits.
Yeah.
Every narrative bit fucking slapped, and that's why it made the list. Even though I thought, like, as I'm playing the game, other than the I really enjoyed the combat system. So that definitely saw me through a lot of stuff too. But yeah, like running around and like talking to NPCs was just kind of not there for me. I will say the final crop of side quests that you go on, sort of the last hurrah of like the finality of like people's arcs and like saying goodbye to people.
Those should have been main campaign material.
Yes, they were really, really good. But everything else was kind of like, go collect 3 of these things. I'm like, all right, fine.
And if I had one other complaint about the combat system, I think I mentioned this to you guys when I beat the game, was I felt that a lot of battles, enemies felt too spongy. And certain encounters ran on a little too long for my liking. It wasn't like game-breakingly spongy, but like certain combat encounters, it's like, this is getting to be a little exhausting. And this is coming from the Devil May Cry guy, where shit is like really gets intense.
There were some mini bosses that I think I know what you're saying. Like where I was just kind of like, I didn't need to fight this guy for 10 minutes. It could have been half that and it would have been fine.
Yeah, but I don't want to get into it too much, because I'm sure I'll get into it eventually later on in the year. But there's certain elements that were borrowed from Final Fantasy VII Remake that I think were done a lot better here. Like the stagger system is pretty good. I also will say at least a bit of another criticism, and this is just a running game criticism. I hate mid-boss fight cinematics. They interrupt the flow of the fight. Stop it, game. Well, I hate mid as well.
Everyone hates mid.
Yeah. Just stop interrupting my fight, please. I just want to beat the dude up. I don't need a cinematic in the middle of the fight. It just kills the flow. I mean, these are cool scenes, sure, but maybe play them before the fight or after the fight, not in the middle of the fight. I don't like mid-boss fight cinematics. They're just... I just want the gameplay in a boss fight.
Personally, I prefer mid-fight cinematics to games where they try to have like dialogue play during the fight.
I mean, I also dislike that too. Yes.
Yeah, I find that really annoying. So if you need to do one, do the cinematics. But I agree with you that it's just kind of like I don't need it.
Just kills
especially if it's a really hard boss. Shut up.
Yeah, I don't want to watch.
Or save me after the cinematic in the halfway point, and then let me keep doing the boss fight. So if I die in the second part, I don't have to rewatch the cinematics again.
Yeah, I think 16 did that to some extent, at least with some fights. Which is more than I can say about Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was we're playing on hard mode, and it doesn't do that, and it has a lot of mid-boss fight cinematics because it's anime as fuck. And so in a lot of the later boss fights, you can get 3 or 4 mid-boss fight cinematics in the single boss fight, and they're all unskippable. And it's like, fuck you, eat shit. This is fucking annoying. I just want to beat the boss. Get out of my fucking way.
Yes, especially when they're unskippable. I will say that's a big I will give a shout out to a couple of the games on my list. Holmes and Alan Wake 2 and Pentiment actually all have like the ability to skip dialogue or skip content that you've already gone through. Or, you know, even if you're just like impatient, you can just skip through. And Baldur's Gate 3, same thing. Bravo, keep that fucking up. I'm tired of shit where it's like every single fucking time I go through an area, I have to hear the same shit again or watch the same scene. Don't do that.
Yep.
I've seen it once. It was great. I love that you did it. Don't force me to sit through it.
I'm glad that showed up on all 3 of our lists.
Hell yeah. Finally, we've waited so long.
I'm in closing, if you're going to commit your life to the service of an evil creation god, at least it needs to turn into your big tittied mom so you can rail it. Okay.
Yeah.
Which by the way, also she has her own entry in the like lore decks that they come up with, and it's her naked. It's literally Barnabas's dead mom naked. And they talk about
for when he gets tired of his silver-haired twink.
Wait, yeah, hang on. I forgot I almost forgot.
We gotta talk.
All right. So me loading up the game for the first time, having never played a Final Fantasy, I see the icons, I see the like cool weird shit, and I go to James and Lee and I go, hey, so one of the guys who turns into like a giant, like, you know, giant dude, he turns into a knight on a horse. And I'm like, is he both the knight and the horse? Or is he riding someone else? And you guys didn't have an answer for me. Will didn't have an answer for me. I keep playing, and it turns out that there is this silver-haired twink, which, props to 2023, year of the silver-haired twinks.
The year of the silver-haired twink.
But yeah, he has this silver-haired twink named Sleipnir, which I was like, an interesting reference to the horse from Norse mythology. Yeah, he's riding his twink into battle, baby. Let's go.
Let there be no gray area in knowing that Barnabas fucks.
Yes, absolutely. And literally, I had people being like, people arguing with me, being like, no, he's not the horse. And I just send them the screen cap of the lore that literally just says, Sleipnir's the horse. And I was like, yeah, you read the lore.
Fuck yeah. Oops, all femboys. Let's go.
Yeah, hell yeah.
What a good year.
Oh yeah, we
all
good.
Right, so yeah, that's my number 4, FF16.
Nice. I think it's me now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm in a post Final Fantasy haze now. All right, so my number 4, I've been trying to get back into reading. So I read a bunch of stuff this year, or not as much as I wanted to, but still a decent amount. Mostly I reread a bunch of stuff because I was just like, hey, I need to stuff that inspired me in the past. Let's fucking, check it out again. Do some comfort reading. But there were a couple of books that I read for the first time this year that really, like, they'd been on my list for a while as, like, these are really good horror books. And I was like, fuck, y'all were right. So the first one of that is a book called The Changeling by Victor Lavalle. And so this is a book, it takes place in New York. It's sort of a, it's horror fantasy, and I want to call it sort of a dark fairy tale. And when I say dark fairy tale, I do not mean like Alice Madness Returns, where it's like, oh, it's Alice in Wonderland, but she's wearing goth makeup and she's cutting people up and blah. No, I don't mean that kind of shit. I mean the kind of fairy tales that people used to tell before they got watered down into like children's content.
It's like Alice in Wonderland, but she listens to Pierce the Veil.
Yeah, exactly. Like no, not that much shade to American McGee, but like that's a whole thing. Whatever. I don't mean that kind of dark fairy tale. I mean the OGs. I mean the stuff where people, trying to understand our place in the world, asked questions of each other, and those questions were those stories. And yeah, it's this, it just has such an atmosphere to it. So it follows, the main character is this guy, Apollo Kagwa, and he is, his mom came from, his mom is an immigrant from Africa, and like, basically like he has this trauma in his childhood where his dad, who's this like white New Yorker guy, abandons him as a child. And at one point, his dad comes back and leaves a collection of books that he calls Improbabilia, and I forget the reason why. But essentially that's his only interaction with his dad, and it kind of becomes like his whole thing. He becomes a like rare book collector, and that's like his, you know, his thing. And he grows up and he meets the love of his life, this woman Emma. They have a baby together, and then Emma starts to think that their baby is not their baby anymore. And she does something fucking horrifying, and that's basically the inciting incident of the book, is the main character coming to terms with a horrific event that happens to his child, and then slowly learning that his wife might have been right. Yeah, it's very fucked up, it's very dark, and it's so good. I think I cried maybe like 3 times in the book. And there's
a book can get that out of you.
Yes, and there's one scene in particular that happens in a church basement where if any of you guys read this, oh god, it's so like I can picture it. It's a very cinematic book, I will say. I definitely had like a headcanon cast for who was in it, which I don't tend to do for books a lot of the time, but this one felt so like I can see that. Like there's one character that I was just like, that's Tilda Swinton. Like I don't care. like I'm like, that's who I see when I read that writing. I hear her voice saying these lines and stuff like that. And yeah, it's so good, guys. Like yeah. I dug it a lot. And it lived up to the hype, absolutely. So yeah. The Changeling by Victor Lavalle is my number 4.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta love when like the good old fashioned ink and paper medium can still be a tearjerker.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
There's a novella that's set inside of a bigger book universe, The Kingkiller Chronicles by Pat Rothfuss. My favorite character in that series is this girl named Ari. She's like 17 or 18. She lives in the ruins, like underground an old school. Like she's basically homeless, just living in ruins. But she's got this really quirky, magical way of looking at the world. And she has an entire novella about her from her POV. So it's all this very whimsical way of looking at the world.
That's awesome.
And without giving too much away for those who want to read it, there's a chapter in the book where she's making a gift for the main character of the series, and she's going to go meet up with him to give it to him. And if you know the main book and its pacing, he wasn't able to meet up with her that night. So she thought she got abandoned. And so it's this whole chapter of her making the perfect gift for him, and then he no-shows. And then you turn the page, and chapter 3 is just 6 words. On the 3rd day, Ari wept. And that's the whole chapter. And I just put the book down and just like, oh god.
Oh man.
So good. All right, number 4, Sabes, what you got?
Yeah.
I've gushed about it a bit in the past. I don't want to get too much into it. Hi-Fi Rush. It's super fucking charming. It is a passion project with a capital P, and it fucking came out of nowhere. It's also one of those games that came out super early in the year that everybody seemingly forgot about for the most part. It's a rhythm action game. Like
it definitely deserved the sound. I think it won for audio this year. Yeah, awards. Totally deserved.
Suck at rhythm games, but this game introduces a lot of accessibility options to make it so even if you suck at rhythm games, you can still progress and beat the game. It's a lot of fucking fun. Visually, it's incredible. OST is fantastic. Characters are likable. Combat system is a lot of fun. If you have Game Pass, either PC or Xbox, please go play it. If you don't and you happen to have a PC or Xbox, please go play it. That's it. It's from Tango Gameworks, and despite some of the developers who work there, having worked at other companies and worked on banger shit, like it's founded by Shinji Mikami, who was the creator of Resident Evil. I haven't really been a fan of their work in the past because they did the 2 Evil Within games. I haven't played much of Evil Within 2, but Evil Within 1 was such a sour taste. And I heard Ghostwire Tokyo was kind of mid. It's like right.
It's not amazing, but I didn't
Yeah.
hate it. There were moments that were. I think you'd like the detective character, the ghost, because he's really cool, and I played it in Japanese, and he's like the best part.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hi-Fi Rush is from them, and it's fantastic.
Nice.
I recommend it. Go play it right now. Do it. Fucking stop this podcast. Go play it. Fucking do it.
It's charming.
It's super charming. It's the best use of licensed music, and I hate licensed music in video games because that normally fucking means that in a few years the game is going to become delisted because the music industry is full of cunts. And the restrictions are dumb, and that results in a lot of games going away forever. In fact, Kat, did you know that there was a period of about a year or 2 where you could not buy Alan Wake?
I love it. That's so good.
It got delisted because the license is expired.
Isn't that wonderful?
Wonderful.
So
and then Remedy managed to work out the contracts, and now you can buy it again. But that's actually another thing that I love about Remedy is when they realized that this is going to happen and they had to fucking delist the game, they put it on sale for 99 cents. And they were like, hey, go buy it. It's going away.
Nice.
We don't care if we make any money from it. If you want it, please, now is your time to buy it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's my number
cool.
4.
Nice.
Hi-Fi Rush, go play it.
All right, we're getting into the medals.
Taters.
Yeah.
All right. So
bronze.
My top 3.
Yep.
Like from the outset building this list, there was no way this wouldn't be the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about order. And even then, this one was still kind of going to be firmly set at the number 3.
Okay.
I appeared as the guest on the podcast, a friend of the Gooncast, Zozo Deuterino.
Nice.
And he introduced me as the master of the gacha game.
Oh.
Which I found hilarious because I didn't play gacha games until I started playing Honkai Star Rail.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And boy howdy, do I play a shitload of Honkai Star Rail.
Tell me about Honkers.
Jesus
Oh my
Christ,
God.
I play a lot of Honkai Star Rail.
Yeah.
It's been the only game that I've streamed this whole year.
Mm-hmm.
But to get real about it for a minute, so this is the new big Hoyoverse game. They are responsible for Genshin Impact, which is the biggest, I say pound for pound, the biggest game in the world right now. Like maybe Fortnite gives it a run for its money, depending on the crowd. But this game has made itself accessible to more people because it doesn't follow as strict of like a pay-to-win system as a lot of these other gacha games does. There are plenty of streamers who are playing Star Rail who make it their point of saying we are strictly free to play, and they are able to clear all content in the game. You don't hit a difficulty paywall that you need to, open the wallet for to break through. This game is actually just something you can pick up for free and play without, needing to do the whole gacha mechanic thing. Which is cool because I don't have a lot of money that I would like, to throw to these games.
Yes.
But just really, really cool cast of characters. Fun story about just like you're part of a crew on a magical train in outer space that just flies from planet to planet, solving problems, just getting into adventures.
Hell yeah.
There's a bigger overarching narrative about these things called Stellarons that are these magical orbs that are like unleashing cataclysms upon certain planets. They're all tied to the gods, and every character follows one of the paths of these deities called Aeons. But it just has such a cool charm to it. A lot of these games boil down to like, oh, this character looks cool, I want to have them.
Mm-hmm.
These things can very easily just become like waifu and husbando collectors. And while there is certainly that to a degree, Kafka is fucking wonderful. The game just has a really cool, simple, fun turn-based system. There are some depths to the mechanics. It's not a super like in-depth like strategy sort of thing. You don't need to do a whole lot of planning. It's a very casual, boot it up, do your dailies, play for 30 minutes, move on with your life kind of thing. And that's kind of what I need from a game right now. You know, I hate to just put this in that light of like, oh, well, you know, I'd love to dig into game after game after game of shit like Final Fantasy 16 or like the number of hours I've sunk into Baldur's Gate. My life just kind of benefits right now from having something I can pop into for 30 minutes and just bang out and move on from.
Hell yeah.
And Star Rail has been a really just relaxing kind of experience. I think that the whole gacha microtransaction pay to win system is judged harshly appropriately. I think that it is a vampiric parasite in gaming.
Yeah.
So
yes.
I have to take a minute to appreciate when a game very much of that ilk from the creators of like the most notorious one can be a totally welcoming free-to-play system. That I've got to respect that. So yeah, I will definitely be sticking along with this. I started playing this game on day 2 of its release, and I've been logging on daily, I think, ever since. And I think the game has a really bright future. So Honkai Star Rail number 3.
Hell yeah. Nice. I'm shocked. Shocked, I say.
Yeah. Didn't see that one coming, fuckers.
No, not at all. All right, my number 3. This is probably going to be a bit of a surprise because I don't think I've talked about this too much with you two. I think I might have mentioned it when I first saw it. But okay, so I don't necessarily think that I have a reputation as like the weird artsy movie person. But I do think this won't help at all.
I mean, you do. You like
you
that
will be
one
after this podcast.
You like that one stop motion thing. I forgot its name.
Exactly.
Mad God was great.
Yeah, that's your reputation from now on.
This is actually very, very in a similar vein to Mad God. My number 3 is a film called Skinamarink.
Oh, I've heard of this. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it was actually a shout out to my friend Marissa. She's the one who recommended it for me. She was like, it's fucking crazy. And I was like, okay, all right. And she really wanted to hear like what I had to say about it. And I will say that initially starting the movie, it initially didn't quite grab me. There were a couple like it is an experience. And as soon as that experience like clicks in your mind, it is brilliant. And I know just saying that people are like rolling their eyes at how fucking like hoity-toity it sounds, but like genuinely like it is. So the movie itself is it's very like experimental, and it's shot like an old like VHS recording. I think it's all shot on I didn't do too much like research of it beforehand. But it's made by this guy, Kyle Ball is like the director and, you know, writer and all this stuff, and it's just this highly like, I wouldn't even call it cerebral. It's very heady. And it's about, put very simply, these kids who like wake up in the middle of the night and find that their dad is missing, and also all of the doors and windows in their house start disappearing. And it's very weird and very fucked up, and like it doesn't, like the things that happen on screen don't really, it's not a movie like Mad God. I don't think it's a movie that you have to literally understand everything that's happening on screen. I think it is very much a film that lives in the kind of like between shots of just like, oh, what the fuck? Like I am like you're essentially like you feel like you're watching a snuff film almost. Like you feel like you're watching something where like this feels so visceral and real and like
something taboo.
Exactly. It's getting into my heart in a way that like, you know, if this were just, because on paper, it's like, I've seen this kind of film before, right? Kids in danger, kids in like a haunted house kind of thing. I've seen, it's kind of like Lights Out-esque a little bit. But you actually like watch the fucking movie and it's just like it's none of that. It's all this like, again, it's so yeah, it's so cool what they were able to kind of convey. It's sort of like what I think what it gets at is this sort of primal fear that you lose when you're no longer a child. If that makes any sense. Like it's basically like what you are feeling is the fear of the dark that you had when you were like 2 years old, where you would like run to bed, or 4 or 5 years old or whatever, where you'd run to bed and like tuck your feet under the blanket because if your feet were dangling, a monster under your bed would grab them. It's that kind of thing where it's just like that's the vibe of it entirely. It's so good.
Yeah, this was on my radar. I just didn't get around to watching it, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm curious to know what you would think, because it is very much a movie that like you have to just like sit in there and like tune your brain to it and just kind of like let it. It's like art, basically, right?
It's
like
not a second monitor movie. You gotta watch it.
It is not a second monitor movie, and it's also something where like if you're going in and expecting to quote unquote get it, then it's like no, you're already
then you've already lost.
I already think you've already lost. Yeah. The one thing, my one criticism of it is that there is a jump scare in the middle that I think didn't need to exist.
Okay,
where I was just kind of like, all right, like it happened, and I went, I don't know about that, guys. But everything else, I was in it. I was in it from maybe like the 30-minute mark till the end. I was just like sold.
Yeah.
So yeah, Skinamarink, number 3, my bronze.
Hell yeah.
My number 3, I don't want to talk about too much because we already did a podcast on it. It's the Kaguya special, The First Kiss That Never Ends. It's delightful. It's more Kaguya.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Go watch your podcast on it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the tweet.
Cute.
That's the tweet. Lee, number 2.
It makes me cry. Silver.
All right, my silver is higher on somebody else's list.
Hey.
What? Oh
yeah,
my god.
Let's do it.
Oh, good.
All right, I think I might know.
I think I know, and I'm ready to take a nap.
All right. So my number 2 is my second book on the list.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So this is another
good shit this year.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked. But also I very heavily curated my. So there was one book I read this year that I started and never finished. I got like one chapter in and I was like, I don't know why I don't like this, but I really don't like it. And that's why like it didn't end up on a list, because it just didn't ever gel with me. It would have if I had actually powered through and finished it, I think. But this book was not that. So my number 2 is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones.
Fuck yes.
Do you know this one already?
Yes, I do.
Okay, have you read it?
No, I haven't read it, but I know a lot about it.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna give you my copy because I think you would love it. Yeah. So yeah, this was one that I saw highly recommended in a bunch of different places from a bunch of different authors I respect, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna check it out. Every time I mention it to people in mixed company, people go, oh, like oh, the title, oh, Clutch Their Pearls, and I'm like, guys, really? Like
chill the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very much like chill the fuck out. But yeah, I definitely got a kick on like, I was on a kick this year of like, I'm going to look at non-white authors and see what's out there that's like really good. And like, damn, like these two, because Victor LaValle is also not, he's African American, and then Stephen Graham Jones is Blackfeet, which is the characters in the book that's the tribe they're in as well. And it like I was like fucking mind blown. I'm like, these are so good. But so yeah, The Only Good Indians basically follows 4 Blackfeet men who are haunted by something from their past. And it is it initially took me a second to get into his writing style, because I think I mentioned this to you, Lee, when I was reading it. He tends to I tend to like things that vary sentence structure a lot more, and he tends to have very like long-winded sentences and like endlessly, so it kind of, when I'm reading that sort of thing, when it's like when it's a rhythm like that, it kind of gets me into like a, oh shit, I just read 3 paragraphs and I absorbed none of it.
Right. Yeah.
But once it clicked for me, I was just like, I think I took like a month or 2 to read the first 100 pages, and then I took 2 days to read the next 300.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that was how fucking good it was. Specifically, the like second chapter that follows Lewis. I was just like, oh my god, I can't stop reading this. Lewis was my favorite character by far. But yeah, and it's a really solid. I think like this one was also very cinematic. I think it kind of I won't say it reminds me too much of Stephen King, just because I think this is better than Stephen King, frankly. But you know, it's like it's very much in that vein of like it's horror, not in it's horror in a very digestible sense, if that makes any sense. You know, like there was definitely, I think the final chapter of this book, I've definitely teared up at, but it not to the level that the Changeling got me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was less emotional of a read, but definitely more of a like, I just fucking consumed this shit at a certain point where I was just like, oh, this is like I love this book. And I was like, I knew it had to end up like super high on my list. So
Mm-hmm.
and I think from what I've read of like both of their, or from what I've seen of both of their other works, I think I will like Jones's like other works a little bit more than I'll probably like Lavalle's. Not for any particular like quality reason, just because I think he keeps writing more in like a horror style, and I think Lavalle gets a little bit more just a little bit less horror. I'll probably still go back and read like some of his other stuff, because some of them sound really fucking cool. But specifically like this one has like books that like kind of follow along the same sort of storylines, and I'm like, all right, I'm in. I'm down.
Sign me up.
Yeah, let's go. So yeah, I'm just like, this was amazing, and really like it's one of those things where I'm like, this is the kind of story that only this guy can tell. And that's the kind of thing that I'm like, it's both really inspiring as a writer as well, to be like, there's some stories that only you have in you, you know? And also really disheartening, because you're like, damn, I could never do something this good. Like,
oh, I love when a book does that. When a book's so good, it makes you just go, why am I even trying?
Yeah, exactly.
That was me with Station 11. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done.
Yeah, that was this one, where I was just like, damn, this is brilliant, and I can't ever, nothing I do will be this brilliant. But at the same time, it's like, hey, maybe something else. I don't know.
Good shit.
So yeah, it's really good. It's really good. I learned a lot too. So, yeah. The Only Good Indians, Stephen Graham Jones, excellent book. Number 2.
Yeah.
My number 2 is something I also don't want to talk about too much, but for different reasons. It's specifically to avoid spoilers. I've gushed about it previously on previous episodes of the podcast. It is my game of the year. It is Killer Frequency.
Yeah.
It is an indie game by Team 17. It is a little horror title, little narrative horror title. It doesn't take too long to play through. It's like 4 or 5 hours. You play as a radio DJ in a small town in the 1980s, and there is a serial killer on the loose. The serial killer has disabled the police force because it's a small town that only consists of 3 cops. And you have to wait for backup to arrive, and you're acting as the makeshift 911 operator, and you have to solve various different logic puzzles to help potential victims avoid their ghastly fates. It is incredibly well written. It is charming. It is funny. I highly fucking recommend it. Please play it. It's fantastic. And this is something that I've barely seen anybody talk about, and I want more people to play it. I love it.
I am, and I will be playing it this year.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, I definitely, from what you've described of it, it's something that's also on my radar. Because I think you mentioned it kind of gave you what's it called? The movie
Pontypool.
Yeah, I gave you Pontypool vibes.
It's
and
very
I'm like,
Pontypool
ooh,
because
more things need to give us Pontypool vibes for sure.
Just like it's funnier than Pontypool, obviously, because it's more of like a horror comedy, but it's not like the annoying kind of horror comedy. Like it's a lot of the comedy comes from absurdist and how exasperated the DJ is getting with this situation.
Yeah,
and
that's cool to me.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that kind of comedy.
And it's but again, the whole thing, you never leave the radio station. You can leave your booth because you got to explore the radio station to potentially find clues that will help you solve the puzzles. Mild spoilers, for example, but there's one person who's in the town hedge maze, and the killer is also in the town hedge maze, and they're lost in the hedge maze. But the receptionist at your radio station happens to be a fan of that hedge maze and has a map of the hedge maze that they pass out. So you actually have to read the map that you can find at the receptionist's desk, and the caller has to give you, like, okay, I'm at the bird statue, and you have to look at the map and go like, okay, the bird statue is there, and like follow the map of the maze and go, okay, make a left or make a right.
Are you sure this isn't 2006's The Maze?
I'm 100% sure. There's
don't hit me.
Yeah, there's all sorts of little logic puzzles like that. Or another instance is, without going into too many details, one victim has been stabbed and they're in critical condition, but the killer left them alive. You need to, because the fact that 911 has been disabled, you need to figure out which one of the radio staff, the radio station staff, lives closest to the potential victim and has at least adequate medical training to stabilize them.
Oh shit.
Okay, interesting.
It's fun, and you need to you figure that out, and then also, because again, the hospital, it's a small town, they have one ambulance and the killer blew up the ambulance so they can't go and pick the person up. You need to relay information from the hospital to the person who's with the victim and then figure out who's near them to get them to come over to help stabilize them and get them to the hospital. And it racks your brain. The only mild criticism I can say is outside of just seeing alternate scenarios, there's not too much replay value because the solution to every single puzzle is the same on every single playthrough. None of the dialogue or cinematics are skippable, so that can make trying to get a platinum a bit of a slog, especially if you want to do it immediately. But if you space it out, you pick it up again 6 months later using a guide to go the alternate route or whatever, it's much more doable. But again, it was fun, it was charming, it was spooky. It had the single scariest moment I have experienced in 2023. And there was no jump scare, there was no noise stinger, there was nothing. It was just, it potentially could have even been a blink if you miss it, if you weren't paying attention sort of situation. Where it's that's how you fucking do effective creepy horror. That's how you unnerve the player. 10 out of 10.
That's
Love
the
it.
best kind.
Go play it.
All right. Ladies and gents, here we are.
Number one.
Now tell me why it's Neil Breen.
The gold.
The gold.
Well, for those who have checked out the Golden Rockos before, you would know that it's part of my tradition here to include my music roundup of the year. And my music roundup is at the number 1 spot. This year for music that I'm into has been incredibly fucking good. Just to quickly go over some of the best records of the year. James had this on his list, Rebirth from the Old Gods of Asgard. It's kind of a greatest hits plus new material, but absolute fucking killers. Versailles, which is a symphonic metal band from Japan, reunited with their singer Camille, who's a singer I got incredibly into this year. They put out a new record called Vogue. It's incredible. Power metal band Camelot with The Awakening, fantastic record. One of my all-time favorite bands, In Flames, put out a record called Forgone. It's excellent. It's a return to form. And my boy Ville Valo, the former singer of Him, brought out his first solo record, Neon Noir, and it's absolutely fantastic. I experienced a record this year that I don't exaggerate when I say has changed my life. Take Me Back to Eden by Sleep Token is my media of the year.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
This album has fucking done things to me. Good Lord. And I'm aware of the fact that it's a little bit of a bandwagon thing. A lot of people are catching on to this band this year because they just started trending on TikTok. They put out a song called The Summoning that has this like weird groovy kind of section at the end that got trending for going along with like thirst trap dance videos.
Oh, okay. All right.
And
hey, get that bag.
So yeah, no, absolutely.
You gotta do it nowadays.
Look, that's. I will say this for Sleep Token because I've been to see them live this year and seen what the crowd looks like. A lot of Sleep Token fans are hot metal chicks. Just gonna say.
Nice.
And boy, do they like dancing to their songs on TikTok. The band kind of strikes a balance between a progressive, lighter metal side with hip hop elements. It's very weird. It's hard to pigeonhole them into a particular genre, but over the course of one song, my favorite song on the newest record being called Ascensionism, it'll transition from opening slow piano ballad into 2-minute rap section into 2-minute heavy metal outro back to piano fade. And it's just like, what the fuck kind of journey did I just get put on? And the entire record is that. This is one of those few albums I will say is a perfect 10 out of 10, all killer, no filler. But what is so cool about this group is that they have a mythos built behind them. The identities of the 4 members, unless you really want to do creepy internet shit and like stalk them, are unknown.
Okay.
The main singer is only called Vessel. He is, they all dress in like cultist robes and masks. And the gimmick is they are in service of an ancient eldritch being named Sleep. And the band is merely presenting these songs to you as tribute to their god. And so the singer, appropriately named Vessel, is just the vessel of Sleep's wisdom. And the other band members are simply 2, 3, and 4. And these boys just hit the stage and they worship their dark god, and it fucks.
Nice.
I have a thing for bands, especially when they're metal adjacent or heavier bands, that tackle subject matter that people on the outside of the genre don't really like expect. Like heavy metal kind of has that vibe of like, oh yeah, you know, slaying dragons and riding motorcycles and doing blow, and yeah, sure, that's you know, a fair bit of it. But you know, Killswitch Engage is all about optimism and positivity and hope. Him is entirely about love. They're their own genre called love metal. Sleep Token basically only writes songs about love or sex or like that human interaction. So there's this weird, raw, like sensual energy about all their work that just, it makes you feel something. It really hits you on a raw, vulnerable level. They have a song on this new record called Do You Wish That You Loved Me? And the song keeps using that phrase over and over. Do you wish you loved me? Do you wish you loved me? It's like, oh, like who's he pining after? Who's this person that's out of reach? And then you read into 2 or 3 of the lyrics a little closer, and he's singing the song to a mirror. And it's just like, oh, fuck, that, now I got to re-listen to it. Oh, now that hurts on this whole deeper level. This record absolutely slaps. In a year of fantastic albums, and in a year where, you know, spoilers for the next conversation we're about to have, where I played, I think, one of the greatest games I've ever played. This, as someone who has had music as the forefront of his, like, interest and development, this is one of the best bands I've ever had the pleasure of listening to. Sleep Token, Take Me Back to Eden, #1.
Amazing. That's great.
Yeah, this was wild shit.
You know, I'm not a big music person, obviously, as y'all can probably attest to the years of knowing me. But every time you talk about bands, Lee, I'm like, this is fucking dope, and I should get more into music.
Well, that's why we need to do more karaoke days.
You're very inspiring. I should say that your passion is infectious.
No, you're breathtaking.
All right.
Kat, Lee, tell me about Baldur's Gate.
Oh boy!
Shut up and get out of here, James.
We're gonna have a moment.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, so to absolutely no one's surprise. Shut up, James. Because this game is sitting at 681 hours in my Steam library.
Yes.
Baldur's Gate 3 is my #1 media of the year.
It's my #2.
Yeah. It was an incredibly easy decision. In a year with so much good stuff, and there was a lot of good stuff and a lot of bad stuff. Baldur's Gate sat at my #1 probably since the first couple weeks of launch. I will try not to gush too hard about it, because we're already at 5 hours now or something like that. But holy shit, this game is special, and
the level of care that went into this.
Yes. It's something where it inspires me as a game dev. It inspires me as a writer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a single character in the game that I think is weak or poorly written.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone feels real, feels all of the companions have an amazing fucking growth, huge, there's so many people that are oh, I hated this character. God, me, I came out the bat being I fucking hate this one character, and then eventually I was yeah, all right, I actually kind of like him, because that's what the game is, basically.
You can just say it's Gale.
It is Gale, yes. but that's the thing, is I hated him my first playthrough because he was buggy as shit. Let's just put that out there. But yeah, my third playthrough, I ended up romancing him, and I was this is
and he's great.
This is really sweet. Yeah. All of the voice actors fucking kill it. It's upset to an upsetting degree where I'm just this is this is amazing. And
having just talked about the voice acting in Final Fantasy 16, this is just another.
Yeah, exactly. Final Fantasy 16 has some amazing voice acting, and any other year I would say fucking Ben Starr should have taken the cake there, but the entire Baldur's Gate cast deserved to be up there. It was just holy fuck.
I mean, Neil Newbon was absolutely incredible. Amelia Tyler is the narrator.
Yes.
Devore Wild as Lae'zel. Jen English as Shadowheart.
Yeah. Samantha Baird as Karlach. Just holy shit. Everyone is so good. And frankly, they touch on a lot of themes that a lot of games don't even fucking bother with, and the way that they executed it was I will not say this lightly, that a character in a scene said a line of dialogue that I verbatim have said in therapy, and that to me, I'm all right. Fucking easiest game of the year of my life.
Yeah.
I'm this is it's very clearly a thing that has resonated with a ton of people for a ton of different reasons. And yeah, I just I think to also get into I love the gameplay. I'm not usually a turn-based kind of person. I really liked though how well they executed the scope of this game is bananas to me. I can't believe how many things they accounted for that you could just do, and how many things that they were just yeah, you know what, if you want to fucking pick up every barrel in the game and chuck it at this one person, go for it. It's just I don't know, it's
It's the number of outcomes that they predicted and wrote for is what blows me away here. Like there is an instance where you are given the opportunity to decide what to do when Astarion tries to bite you for the first time. And you have the option, okay, I'll let him bite me. And then you get the option of, okay, you can tell him to stop. Okay, you fuck up the roll. His bloodlust goes into effect. He doesn't stop. He kills your character. Okay, you can then change your player character to somebody else. Let's say Shadowheart. Run over to your character's body, resurrect him, and then take back control of your character. Go initiate conversation with Astarion, and the scene will play out. Hey, I'm back from the dead. What the fuck was that about? And he'll go, oh God, you're alive. And they do this with every possible situation.
There are a ton of extremely specialized cutscenes that they there was one that I specifically it's something I never would have done myself at all, but there's a temple that you go to in Act 1 that is the Temple of Lathander. So he's the god of the sun. And specifically they have this giant fucking sun laser cannon at the top of the thing that's ancient and hasn't been used in forever. But you can trigger it, and specifically you can trigger it in such a way and leave Astarion down there so he dies by being nuked by a fucking sun space laser. And then you can go back to camp and res him with your good old bone boy Withers. And there is a special scene that plays out where he yells at you for getting him killed, and you go, oh, I thought the sun was fine for you. And he basically says oh, well, we've now learned that there's a big difference between a nice sunny day and the full fucking power of the sun. And the line read is so brilliant, and it's something where it's just why did they record this? Why did they it's such a okay. I'm gonna give a little bit of a curtain peek into The Last of Us. So this is something that I did specifically. When we were remaking it, we brought over all of the fucking lines for everybody. But specifically there were some lines for some of the enemy characters that were a little weird. They're not really how we do things anymore, but apparently when they were in the booth, they just recorded some lines that were special. So specifically, one of the NPC actors, and I don't know if I should say his name or not, because he's a pretty famous voice actor now, but so I won't. But he had a line that that we have. He had a line that we now refer to all of our lines that are like this as, which is we call them chupacabra lines. Because he had a line where during an investigation, if you clear it and haven't found anything, he'll say, must have been that chupacabra. And it's the weirdest fucking line. You're what? Where did that even come from? And so from then on, we would refer to lines as chupacabra lines, where they're just they're weird and they're out of nowhere, and also they're just they're so highly specific and so highly we should not nobody else has this line. It's literally one specific faction of one specific character voice that has this line. And that's everything in Baldur's Gate 3. Everything in so much of Baldur's Gate 3 is chupacabra lines, where it's if you go down an incredibly specific route and you fucking do all of this shit to set this up, you will get a specific unique experience that the devs have catered for you. And that's the thing that blows my fucking mind, is how much of this game is it's so special, where
it's a shame that so many people will go through a whole run of this game, 3-4 playthroughs, and might not be gifted the magic of 2 seconds where Gale screams at you, stop licking the damn thing.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And actually, funnily enough, I had because I've talked everyone's ear off about this game since I've been playing it. And specifically I've talked about with a couple of friends who this one guy was like, and this is also like an incredibly common thing apparently with like people who have played. Basically, Astarion was like my first romance character. Not necessarily because I'm like, oh, he's so hot. It's like my whole hilariously, I thought he was funny as shit, so I just always kept him in my party. And then and I really liked playing as a rogue. And then the first time I got to the Goblin party was in a co-op campaign with a friend of mine. And we went around and we were like, oh, we can hook up with somebody. But I think we did everything too fast, so like we hadn't progressed anyone's romance far enough. And the way that Astarion rejects you is he laughs in your face and goes like, I have standards. And I was like, bitch, bet. So then in my solo campaign, I was just like, I'm gonna get you. And he ended up being like one of the like sweetest parts of the game. But a lot of people will get the like cutscene in the beginning where he fucking draws a knife on you as soon as you meet and kill him.
Yeah.
And so one of my friends
miss out on this entire narrative.
Well, okay, so hilariously, one of my friends was like, he's basically restarted the game a bunch of different times because he always plays co-op with people and he'll always just like roll up a new character. And apparently every single time he's killed Astarion. And he was like, the first time we did it, we didn't realize who he was. We didn't know. And then I saw the box art and I was like, oh, I think he was important. And I was like laughing my ass off because this was right after the Game Awards. And so I was like, imagine if you had never put 2 and 2 together and then you're watching the Game Awards and you're seeing him win Best Actor and you're like, really? He had 3 lines.
God.
It's weird.
Yeah, the only thing that I'll throw in on the discussion, because I could ramble about this game for a long time, is just I'm very drawn into games these days that immerse you in a narrative. I'm actually willing to let a lot of things slide on gameplay and how it handles if I feel like I'm getting a fleshed out story from it.
Yeah.
And when you dive into the meat of this story, it becomes so engrossing. It the topics that they're handling are sensitive and they're handled with tact and they're handled with respect.
Yeah.
In all my years of gaming, I don't think there is a character I have legitimately cared about more than Shadowheart.
Yeah.
Like I just want this girl to be fucking happy. Can this girl just please be fucking happy?
And that's the thing is like I have now at this point gone through I've romanced Astarion 3 times now, I think. I romanced Gale once, I romanced Karlach once, and like my original squad was Astarion, Will, and Karlach, and I 100% just like shipped Will and Karlach together because I was just like, they're too cute together. I just in my head I'm like, this is a double date. Every time we go out on a mission, it's just a double date. And yeah, I just like every single one of them is so sweet. And I want all of my little bi disasters to be happy. So, yeah. And yeah, Lee and I have talked about this where we're just like, oh, the collection of ones and zeros that I've just come to love. And it's like, it's true, but it's really a testament to like these characters are incredibly written, incredibly acted. It's really good. Buy Baldur's Gate, y'all.
Yep, get it.
Support these devs because holy fucking shit, I want them to all be set for fucking life. I swear to God. I have purchased Baldur's Gate for I think 6 people besides myself at this point. No, it's like 10 now. That's how much I fucking love this game. Where I'm like, number one, I'm mad I can't buy it for myself more than like 2 or 3 times, so I'm going to keep buying it for other people.
That's commitment.
Yeah. Anyway, James, you can come back now. I think we're done.
Huh? What?
Huh? Did you enter a fugue state?
Yeah.
Come on, Saber. I want to talk about my number 6.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's your number 6? Oh, okay.
I believe it's my number 6.
Oh, beautiful. I don't want to talk about it too much because we did an entire episode about it. It's Tetris.
Yes!
Yay! Nice.
This movie is so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's the most accurate depiction of video game development I've seen on film.
Grandma's Boy. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Eat shit and die?
God damn it. God, yeah. In a year where we also had the fucking Matrix, it was like on
paper, just hearing they did a movie about Tetris, I can see why people would scoff at it, especially if you go into the assumption that Lee did initially, where they think it's an adaptation of the video game.
Mm-hmm.
But as someone who was vaguely somewhat familiar with the story of the development, I was like, this could be a banger little biopic drama movie. And yeah, it was. It takes some liberties, especially with that car chase towards the end of the movie.
Oh, God.
But you know what? Yeah. The car chase was still kind of fun, and the movie itself was still fun, and it was well acted, and it had the best romance on screen.
Amen.
And it's a heartwarming little story with a very, very happy, uplifting ending about two people in the video game industry. And considering how fucked this year for the video game industry it was, despite some amazing titles coming out, knowing that at least, years ago there was a happy ending for a potentially fucked video game development situation just tugged at my cold, dead, house burned down heartstrings.
Yeah, this movie is fantastic. It's one of the best romances ever put on screen. Go watch it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Nice. All right. Wow.
We've done it.
Yeah, Lee, do you have any least or most anticipated media for next year? One of each.
Okay, well, the one I am probably most excited for, I gotta throw a couple out there. The DLC for Elden Ring, whenever that comes out, is gonna slap.
Hell yeah.
Path of Exile 2 is gonna be great.
Nice.
But my number one most anticipated anything is Mike Portnoy has rejoined my favorite band, Dream Theater, which means when they release a new record this year, it will be my favorite lineup of theirs for the first time since the early 2010s.
Nice.
Beautiful.
I think it's been 13 years since Portnoy's done a record with them.
Beautiful.
So my most anticipated release of this year is a new Dream Theater record and hopefully a tour.
Nice. Do you have a least anticipated?
Exorcist 2.
Okay. All right. You see, yeah. All right. Fair.
Or Rebel Moon 2.
Oh yeah. That's where I thought that was going, because that's, I think, April.
Whichever.
Yeah, April or March. Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna hate watch both of them.
Obviously, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So for me, I somewhat misunderstood the assignment because I thought you meant like one thing for like each kind of form of media, but I'm just gonna rattle them off real quick. My most anticipated book for next year is a book called The Fisherman, by John Langan. It's another horror book that I was like, that came highly recommended, and I was just like, I own it now, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I can't wait to sink my teeth into it. My most anticipated movie is Suitable Flesh. It's the new, like, Barbara Crampton produced it. I think it was originally supposed to be a Stuart Gordon film. And it's dropping on Shudder in like a couple weeks, and I'm just like, I've been kind of like chomping at the bit waiting for this to release so I could watch it. So I'm pretty hype about that. My most anticipated video game, I don't actually know if it will be releasing this year. They haven't announced a release date, but it's been in development for a hot minute, so here's hoping. The Riven remake from Cyan Worlds. So it's already on my wish list. I'm very excited for that. Least anticipated, and I as we were talking, I remembered something. So I, like Lee, I have a little sidecar entry that don't think will, be on anybody else's list. But my least anticipated, even though I am trying to keep as much of an open mind as possible and trying not to just like blindly hate because I think it's probably going to be bad, the Silent Hill 2 remake. Yeah. I'm going in with negative expectations and hoping that they can maybe pull something out, but I doubt it. So sorry to say, but the Silent Hill 2 remake. And then my little asterisk sidecar entry is Nier Replicant. Fuck you, James. As soon as I finished Automata and put it down, I was like, fuck, okay, I got the plat and I'm done. He fucking mails me Nier Replicant.
That's right. You ain't finished. Yoko Taro.
Oh, I'm surprised at you, Kat. I figured
Why?
your least anticipated would be that thing that you promised that you would stream or play in 2024.
What thing is that? I don't see. I've completely forgotten.
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, well, here's the thing. I have no like. I don't know when that's gonna happen. I have no intention of playing.
You said you would play,
like,
especially because Rebirth is the bundle where it comes with both games.
Oh yeah, I do need to. Okay, well, then a second smaller sidecar includes Final Fantasy. But that's the thing is my only Final Fantasy experience is 16.
That's fine. Time
slapped,
ghosts.
So
Time ghosts.
Okay. Yeah. And also, to be fair to Nier Replicant, from the little that I have like read of it, it does seem like it would be more seems like it's more my speed narratively. Like it seems like it's doing more things that I would like, but still, just gonna put it out there.
It'll be fine.
Just gonna put it out there.
It'll be fine.
All right, Jam.
I'm going to start mine off with my least anticipated, because you mentioned one thing that was a runner-up for least anticipated for me, which is Silent Hill 2, because one, Silent Hill 2 also falls into the category of the game doesn't need a fucking remake. Yes, mechanically a lot of it is dated, but also
that's kind of the point, though.
Mechanically a lot of elements of it, like the restrictions of the time, kind of make it what make it special.
As anyone who played the HD remaster collection can attest.
Yeah, just give us a proper remaster, or at least put the PC version up on GOG so people can buy it and then download the enhanced edition mod and play it properly. Also, I don't trust Bloober Team, and the little I've seen of it is it feels like they're missing the assignment and adding in stupid shit like combat rolls and a lot of changes for the sake of changes. Like, we got
combat rolls.
We like they've aged up James Sunderland and Mary by like 10 to 15 years because we think trauma really only applies to people who are in like their 30s and 40s. Like, bitch, no. That's the point of Silent Hill 2 is the fact that you can be younger and still experience something truly heartbreaking.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Fucking don't. Not to mention Bloober has a very terrible track record, and they don't really handle sensitive subject matter the best. Yeah. And Silent Hill 2 deals with a lot of sensitive subject matter. But my main least anticipated...
It all ends in me.
Yeah. My main least anticipated, which is a bit of a toss-up because I'm also kind of anticipating making fun of it, is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I expect them to shit the bed completely. Kat and Lee have heard me bitch about this game multiple times. I think the Gooncast has heard me bitch about it multiple times. The Final Fantasy VII remake, and the fact that it's a false marketed lie because it's not a remake. I want to just put it on record too. The game is set to end at the Forgotten Capital of FF7, which is the end of Disc 1. I don't want to get too in-depth in case somebody is looking forward to Rebirth and for whatever reason they're unfamiliar with the big event at the end of Disc 1. I am 100% expecting that to be changed because the writers are fucking cowards, and they're more concerned with fucking fan service over telling a good narrative. And granted, this is now a weird multiverse meta sequel reinterpretation of Final Fantasy VII. But for me, the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, I haven't said this before, I only recently thought of it when I was describing it to Kat and Lee, it's the equivalent of the Peter Jackson Hobbit trilogy. They've taken something and they've just added so much unnecessary, stupid, padded bullshit that it just shits all over the original. And this is also coming from somebody who's not even the biggest fan of the original. Anyways, enough about stupid shit. Positive thing, it didn't come out in 2024, but it came out in 2023. But I'm waiting for it to hit streaming. My most anticipated is Godzilla -1.
It's so fucking good.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. Please put it on streaming and stop writing shitty fucking clickbait articles about, is Godzilla -1 on streaming? And then you pad out the article with about 16 fucking paragraphs.
I saw the tweet that mysteriously showed up somewhere in the middle of our Baldur's Gate discussion.
Yeah, because I was like, hey, is this streaming yet? And it's articles that have been written by the same publications today who have written an article last week and the week before that and the week before that and the week before that. It's like, stop writing the same fucking article every fucking week and stop padding it out with Godzilla -1 is, and then you explain what the movie is, and then you explain where you can see it, which is in theaters, and then you have to scroll through 16 fucking paragraphs to get, no, it's not available on streaming yet, and Toho hasn't announced when it's going to be for streaming. Just fucking leave up your old article. It's going to get clicks. Writing new articles isn't going to do a goddamn thing. Nothing's fucking changed. You're making up bullshit. I'm tired of this shit. Fuck off. I hope your site goes bankrupt. I'm tired of it.
This movie just missed my cutoff for this list. I will absolutely be discussing this next year.
Hell
Holy
yeah.
fuck, what a movie.
I cannot wait to see it.
It's so fucking good.
I'm pretty excited. Actually, my husband left the house 20 minutes ago to go see it with his friends.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
yeah.
I can't wait to see it. I don't want to say anything more because this we've been over at 5 hours now. Let's get out of here. I want to go to bed.
All right. Shall we do the rundown?
Yeah, we got to keep to formalities. So, to wrap it up, Golden Rocko's 3. Lee's most disappointing were Smile, The Nun, and motherfucking Jonathan Majors.
Oh my god.
His worst of 2023, Children of the Corn, Resident Evil Death Island, Exorcist Believer, The Invitation, and The Curse of La Llorona. And Lee's top 10 of 2023, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, Zom 100, Val, Street Fighter 6, Tetris, Evil Dead Rise, Final Fantasy 16, Honkai Star Rail, Baldur's Gate 3, and Take Me Back to Eden by Sleep Token.
Hell yeah. Very nice list. All right, so Cats, Golden Rockos of 2023. Bummers were Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Yeah.
Forspoken and Nier Automata. Worst of the year list, Modern Warfare 3, Silent Hill Ascension, Cowboy Bebop, the live action Netflix adaptation, Balan Wonderworld, and Velma. Special shout out to A Cure for Wellness as my Barbarian. And then my best of list is Final Fantasy 16, Evil Dead Rise, Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened, Alan Wake 2, Cowboy Bebop the Anime, Pentiment, The Changeling, Skinamarink, The Only Good Indians, and Baldur's Gate 3.
Fucking
A. Disappointing. Demonologist Megan, Resident Evil 4. Hate. There's Someone Inside Your House, Exorcist Believer, Pokemon Scarlet DLC, Slenderman, Cowboy Bebop. Honorable mention for Barbarian / Congealed Failure to Silent Hill Ascension. Best Thanksgiving, Fatal Frame 4, Poets of the Five Nights at Freddy's, Poets of the Fall, Rebirth, Armored Core 6, Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, Kaguya-sama, Love is War, The First Kiss That Never Ends, Killer Frequency, and Tetris.
Fucking A.
Oh yeah.
Renzi, thank you for sticking us out for 5 hours.
We made it through 3 years of the Gooncast.
Renzi, never ask me for anything ever again.
3 solid years of goon stomping across the internet. Ah, yes, sir.
Fuck yeah. Here's to another year, gentlemen.
That's right. To one more trip around the sun.
Yeah.
We'll sign on out of here so Saber can go collapse into a puddle somewhere. This has been your boy, the Bodhisattva of Booba, Lee Alder, the Valley Jester. You can catch me playing Honkai Star Rail over at twitch.tv/Valley Jester.
And I am Cat, aka the Attack Cat. You can catch me on Saber's channel where we're going through Bloodborne. And, you know, random bits of Faz. And otherwise, I vanish into the ether, aka Faerun.
That's right.
Because we still got 3 playthroughs going, baby.
We ain't done.
We're not done.
You know who I am, and I just want to remind you that there were 5 things that I thought were worse than my house burning down. Get fucked.
So when does your house burning down get a remake?
We'll see.
Hi James, it's Ben Starr here. So, it says here that you want me to do an intro for the Gooncast about your favourite 2023 stuff, and that you're splitting the video in 2 and you need an intro. So, here's an intro. Hi everyone, it's Ben Starr. And you're listening to and or watching and or just experiencing through the power of love alone the Gooncast Best of 2023. How about this? Hi guys, it's the Gooncast. Fucking enjoy it. How about this? Yep, it's the Gooncast. I'm Ben, and this is gonna be fucking fun. 2023, what a year. What do they think? Hi everyone, it's Ben Starr here. You're listening to and or watching the Gooncasts 2023, stuff that happened and things they liked in it, maybe. Okay, great. Hi, I'm Ben Starr. This is the Gooncast podcast, and the chances are you're listening to the bit in between that they haven't quite decided yet, and they've asked me to record something. So here it is, me just making some noise. Now that's range. James, I hope that was worth it. All right, mate. Enjoy.